Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Well, how about that for a weekend? It's like the weekend sports events aren't even over. We got a golf playoff today, Hovland and Scheffler after a wild putt-a-thon at 18. Both guys had birdie putts to win. I don't know how Hovland missed his. Just a little more. Knock it through that last little bit of the break. Couldn't do it. Gutsy save by Scheffler, though, after he rammed his putt 8 or 9 feet past the cup. We've all been there, haven't we? All right, and the World Cup rolls on. Canada's the first team through to the round of 16. The U.S. is coming up on Wednesday. So plenty going on this weekend, including the NHL draft, and I think we'll start there. When we left you, we were preparing for the Utah Mammoth to draft 19th. They traded Peterka to Boston, got 2 first-round picks, then flipped the one that was this year for a goalie, and then took their first-round pick this year and the third-round pick and moved up 2 spots, basically used the 83rd pick to move from 19th to 17th to get the guy they wanted. That was a lot going on all at once. They were moving, they were shaking, they were baking. That was a lot of movement. Now, will it pay off? Man, who knows? The move that leads to the move that leads to the move. They draft Ethan Belchetz. He's going to go play at Michigan State. There's speculation. He's only 18 years old, and he's 6'5", 230. There's speculation that he will go play there for more than 1 year. But they wanted him, and they didn't think he would last at 17. They thought he'd be gone by the time they drafted. So those 2 spots, they move up. And, with the multiple picks, they got a lot of prospects. So they don't need one more. So I get why they would use that. Is Belchetz the guy? Yeah, no idea. No idea. We'll see. The reaction from the brass, well, let's get to it. Bill Armstrong and the aforementioned Ethan Belchetz, here they are talking with the media.
First impressions and what you're so excited about being here with this organization, because I know it was probably a whirlwind.
Yeah, it's been a couple crazy days here, but you step into the facilities and it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. The lounge area, the room, and the gym is so special, and it's super cool to meet all the guys here, and I can't wait to get going here.
And Bill, what stood out about Ethan and being able to have this opportunity to take him and bring him in this organization?
Well, the truth being told, we didn't think he was going to be in our range, and we were so excited at where he was lying in the draft that we had to move forward to go get him. He was a prime target. When we saw him in that range, we were like, hey, we're not going by. We're going to make sure we do everything in our power to go out there, move forward, and get him. He's an exciting player. I just wanted to get a player that was kind of my size. So when we did the interview process, I look thin and skinnier, but he's done a great job at just developing his game. I think he's a true power forward, someone that can do everything in the game, from not even playing physical to going to the tough areas, to taking care of business if someone needs to be protected, one of his teammates. I love the fact that he's really good around the net. And that's the way our game is trending, with the big man around the net. And just, we've got some speed and skill. It's nice to have that true power forward that's coming into the game that can take that next step to help us win a championship at some point.
Ethan, when you were first drafted, you said you're so lucky to be drafted by Utah. What makes you say that?
Yeah, it's special. You hear Utah's trading up, and you kind of get some tingles in your chest and butterflies in your stomach, and then you hear your win in Windsor, and it's like you're already standing up, and I'm sprinting to the stage, and the hugs with your parents and your siblings. It's so special, and Utah's it's a special place to play. I've seen a lot of videos. I've never been to Utah before, and it's a beautiful city, and the mountains are awesome, and you watch the games that they play, and the stands look crazy. The fans are awesome. And you can't be more excited.
If you two were going to arm wrestle, who would win?
Is that really a question?
He's a lot younger, so we're not going to do that. Someone would be leaving that getting injured. So yeah,
Ethan, congratulations again. Just can you take us through the last couple of days, what it's been like for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. The time goes by so quickly. It feels like just yesterday I was, getting drafted to the OHL, and now I'm, in Utah as a, NHL prospect. So it's been crazy. It's exciting, whirlwind, and you get down to Buffalo, and the NHL took us, golfing, which is pretty fun, and then Friday comes along, and you get the breakfast with Gary Bettman, and then you're at draft day sitting there with your family, and you get the butterflies, and your heart's beating 1,000 miles per hour, and you finally hear your name, and it's just the excitement, and you do all the media, and then you can't just wait to hop on the plane to get to Utah. So it's really special.
Have you had the chance to talk to any of the NHL guys yet?
Yeah, I was just sitting with a couple of guys here with the past first rounders and some of the other guys, and then some texts from Lawson Krause and Clayton Keller. So that's pretty special, and excited to just meet everyone this week.
Any cool messages from those guys?
Yeah, obviously those guys are awesome people, and just a quick little message that they said congratulations and excited to have me here. So excited to meet everyone.
Congrats, Ethan. Just as you get ready for your first dev camp as a member of this organization, just what are some of the things you want the coaches to see from you this week during camp? Yeah,
just my competitive side. Obviously, I'm going to put, everything out there and bring to the table what I can do. Like you said, I'm a physical, skilled power forward, and, I want to show that I'm a competitive player that, want to win and, doesn't let anyone take the puck from me.
And then, Bill, just as dev camp gets ready, you got some guys that are coming back from multiple dev camps, and you mentioned a couple of spots potentially be open in the fall. Just what are you looking to see from some of your topper prospects here this week in dev camp?
Well, you always look forward to seeing them at this time of the year to see if they've taken a step physically in their development, putting the time in, not only during the year but right after the season ends, and making sure they're getting bigger, stronger, faster. And so we look for that. Love seeing the kids. I think, development camp has changed over the years. You used to come in and exhaust the kids, and now it's about learning for them to get knowledge to be able to take that next step and really go in the dressing room and steal a jersey, right? That's what it's about. It's they're here to learn as much as they can to get that knowledge to go back home, get them themselves to the top point of their development and come in and earn a job. And that's a hard thing. But I think kids these days and the prospects are much different in their development. I think they're farther ahead than they've ever been, and it's not out of reach that someone in this development camp can come in here and steal a job. There's a lot of talent, and he's one of the pieces of the talent that have the ability to come in and get a job. So I think it happens quick. They have to be prepared. I think they're going to learn a lot of things this week. They're going to help advance them. I think sometimes when kids come in, and they're like reading hockey news, how good they are, all the ratings, and all of a sudden then they get in the real world, and they not only see the prospects, and I think our prospects are different. We've got a lot of top-end guys been drafted at the top of the draft, and then they see the real NHL players come in. It's an eye-opener about how good they actually are. But there are kids that are going to development camp that are going to play in the National Hockey League, and they have to have that dream, and they've got to have that hard work behind it.
Bill, did you have any kind of inside inclination that if you didn't trade up that you were going to lose them outright, or is it just you didn't want to take the chance?
I think as a staff, our staff, Darryl Plandowski at the helm, he has a really good feel for what's coming our way, how many picks are there, and I think you get down to that point in the draft where you're like, okay, there's one guy on the board that we really, really love that's left, on our list, and we're going to go after him. We're going to do everything in our power to get up into that spot to get him right now. We're not waiting around. So I think you just come to make that decision, and it happens quick. But once you make it, you're all in, and we're super excited about getting Ethan. He's someone that fits into to our mold of what we need and into our culture. We did a lot of research on him about his work ethic and from his coaches in the OHL, and getting to watch the whole year. He's impressive.
Ethan, is there anything in your game that you're really looking to improve upon at Dev Camp?
Yeah, for me as a bigger guy, that skating aspect with the first couple steps and just my pace and play in general. I've already talked to the nutritionist here on how to get faster, leaner, stronger, so I can improve on those things for me. And I think if I can fly around the ice that little bit quicker, I'm going to be that much more effective.
Bill, how exciting is it for you to see four first-round picks in this dev camp?
Well, I think it's great, and I think they're all watching each other, too, to see how good they are. And I think there's a competition, internal competition is the best thing that you can have. It just pushes everybody. And I think when you line up in the drill and you're like, hey, that guy, he's a first rounder, and I'm going to try and out-compete him in the drill. And I think it's just a good level of competition. These guys didn't make it to this point in their life and being at an NHL rink right now because they weren't competitive. So I think it even pushes them to a higher level when you have that many first rounders in your camp.
And to build on that, I guess the bond part of Dev Camp
Yep.
for these guys as a GM, how important is Dev Camp for the development of your prospects in the pipeline?
Well, part of it is bonding. If you can get the kids in here and get them comfortable, that's sometimes when you go to camp, you're so nervous, you're burning adrenaline, you're not sleeping, and you're just it doesn't allow you to bring your best game when training camp occurs. So we've always felt like through the bonding, guys getting to know each other, getting to know the facility, feeling comfortable in the environment, we get the best out of them in development camp, in rookie camp, and also in training camp. And so that bonding is huge. I mean, part of it is our whole culture here, the environment that coach runs, there's an enjoying atmosphere of you wanting to come to work. And that's the first thing that the kids will learn when they come in the door. There's a great bonding. There's a great environment to develop. It's a good place to come every day. You get beautiful mountains that surround the rink. It's a beautiful place. And I think in the past we want this facility and the environment where people want to come and get better every day.
And then, Ethan, while we're all in this room, will you set the record straight and just say your first and last name for us so we always pronounce it correctly?
Ethan Belchetz.
Just a moment ago, Ethan, Bill said that you have a chance to make the team out of camp. I know it's not a super common thing for guys to make the team in their first year, but last year it happened. 10 guys maybe that were drafted in the first round played in the NHL right away. What does that make you feel when you realize this is an opportunity, like I could be on an NHL roster in 3 months here?
Yeah, for me, I already have that expectation for myself. I'm a big guy. I have the size already, and I'm going to do everything to take that spot and earn a job for myself. So it's cool to hear him say that, but internally, I already have that mentality.
All right, the Utah Mammoth get their guy, and then it'll be interesting to see what happens. This Peterka deal and Josh Doan, is Doan the guy? He has a great year in Buffalo. Is he going to continue this? And they give him up to get Peterka. And Peterka's numbers are down, and, in defense of him, he didn't get as much time on the power play. But, if you're not good enough to get on the power play, then are you good enough? Move into Boston, get the picks. And create cap room. What are you going to do with that money, right? So it's dominoes falling one after another, and we got to wait to see where all the dominoes fall. Now, they did use one of those picks to go get Sebastian Cossa from the Detroit Red Wings. They had the 23rd pick that they got in the Boston trade, and they send that to Detroit. So is he their goaltender of the future? He's a big dude, 23 years old, 6'7". Big dude, right? All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, David Locke, Brendan Haywood talking NBA hoops, Jazz, free agency, NBA trades. Where do we go from here? Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. David Locke joined us on Friday to put the draft in the rearview mirror and look ahead to free agency trades. What are they going to do from here? Here's David Locke, a couple of, Friday references, but you get the point. Here's David. David, good morning.
We're back at Friday, the day that I'm supposed to talk to DJ DK. You cap it off with the two greatest of all time, and that's what I get to do. David James, an institution in the state of Utah, staying longer than Stockton and Malone. Wait, what's going on? Oh, you're just making sound effects. Okay. And then Patrick Kinahan, maybe the most brilliantly misunderstood man on the planet.
Boo.
No, why would we boo PK?
They're not booing. They're chanting boozer.
Question I pondered.
I personally just want, in life at this point in my life, I want authentic curiosity and pure authenticity in life with people. And there's no one that's more authentic than Patrick Kinahan other than no one's ever told him his singing sucks.
We should put it out there. Does my singing suck?
It sucks. BK. So I'd let you know. Really, really, really sucks.
That's the point.
So many questions for you this morning, David. Let's start with this one.
All right.
The Jaylen Brown trade rumors.
I'll be short-winded. How's that?
Okay. Jaylen Brown trade rumors. Portland, Atlanta, New Orleans, 4 first-round draft picks. That's what the Celtics are going to demand. Should Utah get in on this, it would almost certainly mean Markkanen gets moved. If they want a second starter, I'm out of the pool. I don't even want to give up the 4 draft picks either, maybe 1 or 2. What do you think? Should the Jazz get into this? Where's the line in the sand where they got to get out of this, even if they have some early talks?
The conversation is reasonable because, quite honestly, if you slide him into our roster, it feels as though he fits much better than what you see with Lauri Markkanen. He's a natural small forward. And it fits better. I understand that Jaylen Brown was a top 5 MVP candidate this year and was really fabulous. But Jaylen Brown is not the player that I would make this kind of move for. I don't think he's a number 1, honestly. He's not efficient offensively. Yeah, I mean, basically that's the issue with him. He plays defense. He does everything else. He plays his butt off. He's a top 5 or 6 MVP candidate this last year without Jason Tatum. But I'm not sure I want to roll out $55, $60 million for him, and nor is Boston. And that should actually open your eyes a little bit. So that's my I don't want to disparage a top 6 MVP candidate last year, but Jaylen Brown's one that when you dig into the efficiency numbers, you dig into kind of his offensive profile, you dig into to me, he's not the number 1 that's getting you over the top. And I don't want to say I think he's overrated, but I don't think he's a top 5 or top 10 player in the NBA.
+2, man. I'm excited about this Jazz group. I want to see what these guys can do with this coach this season. I don't want another move. I've had too many moves. I want some continuity now.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to just flip to the other side of this argument for a moment. There are some things that are clearly a problem with this roster as it sits right now. And this is the most wonderful thing about what's happened in the Jaren Jackson acquisition and the Darryn Peterson drafting, is we can now talk about basketball on a championship level.
Right.
Okay, if you're going to try to really win 50 to 55 games, this roster has the following flaws, and we can discuss it. And those flaws are: we don't have enough ball handling. Jaylen Brown can handle. We don't have enough self-shot creation. Jaylen Brown can self-shot create. We do not have a perimeter defender on the roster. Jaylen Brown's a pretty good on-ball defender. There are reasons why, and there are weaknesses in this current iteration of this roster, even before it plays a game, that are abundantly obvious. And Jaylen Brown does fit all of them. I personally am so obsessed with some of the numbers and offensive efficiency, and I don't think you win with it. I have a number of metrics for those who followed me for a long time called points gained. Jaylen Brown is a below average offensive points gained player, which means that if you gave it a collection of average NBA players the same amount of possessions as Jaylen Brown, they actually would score more points than he would. He's just a high-volume offensive player. That is not my preference personally. But on this iteration of the Utah Jazz, we have some pretty glaring weaknesses if we're trying to be a championship team, and Jaylen Brown does address most of them. So it makes sense. I'm just not trying to think he's the guy. And I don't love the number.
Let's assume they don't make that deal. And they keep this roster together. The PK and lots of fans weighing on Facebook were saying the same thing. Hey, this group looks pretty good. Let's see what they can do. What are you adding first? I think it's 12 spots spoken for, assuming Kessler, Peterson would be 10 guys under contract. They'd be 11, 12. You got 3 spots left. How you deploying the roster spots and the money to shore this group up?
Yeah, I think if you need probably a backup center, so that's hopefully Nurk, but not a lot of minutes there. We can talk about that on the side note if you want. I'm trying to be brief today. You need another ball handler. We just don't have enough ball handlers. You actually need more shooting. We don't have very good shooting. And in that combination, we need someone tough as PK. We need someone with the grit and toughness of Patrick Kane. Still not a lot. I don't know if we have toughness, honestly. Like, it's easy to say we don't have it. I've never seen it. Never really asked any of these guys to have toughness either, right? Like, we didn't know that Stephen Castle, maybe we did from UConn, Dylan Harper, Julian Champagny, that these guys had that until they had to. So I guess we'll find out. But as of right now, like, I would like to get somebody on the roster who, as Rudy Tomjanovich talked about, you got to have some guys on the roster that when there's going to be 3 storms this season and they're unfazed. And some guys who also, or even you've lost 2 in a row, the pressure's mounting, you're down by 7, there's 8 minutes left, the crowd's murmuring, and somebody comes in and kicks somebody's you-know-what for a minute and kind of enlivens everything. So, like Marcus Smart, Max Strus, Tobias Harris did it for Detroit this year. Like, somebody like that, I think we need on this roster.
Can Will Hardy set the tone for that in the way Jerry Sloan did?
Yeah, I think you're in trouble if you're asking your coach to lead you all 82 games.
I didn't say lead. I just said set the tone.
Yeah, I mean, Will's insanely competitive. He'll set that tone and show that expectation. We've seen that out of him. But I'll say it again. So, yes, Will can do that. If you are relying on your coach to do that for all 82 games, you're in trouble.
Is there anybody on the Jazz roster who could provide a bit of that or no? The Svi, Konchar, just be the junkyard dog who comes in. And we just didn't see it because there were so many blowout games and they weren't trying to win.
100%. Like, pretty unfair to say these guys aren't tough when they haven't been asked to be. But usually it's someone who's been through a few of the storms of the NBA. Usually it's someone who's, got a little bit of something in their back pocket where they can remember what they've been through before to know that they can get through this now. I think that's what the Knicks had as a group, right, is that they all guys have all been around a little bit. They're not old, but they've all been around. Like OG had watched the championship team. Cal Bridges had won a national title. Jalen had won a national title. They've just been around, and they were able to carry as a group. Oklahoma City didn't have a lot of that beforehand, though Alex Caruso is that tough guy. They had Isaiah Hartenstein. Those are 2 probably good comparisons to kind of what I'm talking about is that kind of veteran player. I mean, maybe it's Lou Dort. He cannot shoot, but maybe it's Lou Dort who we add to this roster if he becomes available, who can bring you a little bit of that junkyard dog toughness and you figure out a way to make him just good enough offensively.
Darryn Peterson, I listened to your thing. You're excited about it, as you should be. Maybe Donovan Mitchell special. And I love Donovan Mitchell. I just don't think that Darryn Peterson should settle for that. I think he needs, when it's said and done in 15 or whatever years, he needs to be in the conversation as one of the better all-time guards in the history of the league. That's the standard I'm setting.
If you're a number 1 and number 2 pick of an NBA draft, and it's a great draft, your goal should be the Hall of Fame. That's where most of them end up. So I don't know if I can go as high as you just went. And again, Mitch Richmond's in the Hall of Fame, so you never know. So maybe it's not as great. Sacramento reference for DJ. The kid could be great. I don't know really how to react to saying he should be one of the greatest guards to ever play the game. I mean, I think Ray Allen's one of the greatest guards to ever play the game, so that would be in the mix of possibilities. I don't know if you think Devin Booker is one of the greatest guards to ever play the game, but I think that's in the mix of possibilities. Donovan is certainly one of the greatest guards to ever play in the history of the game. If he's a 6'6" Donovan Mitchell, he takes care of most of Donovan's weaknesses.
Right.
There's a chance, man. You just don't get talent like this. This is special stuff. He's probably the best player to ever be drafted by the Utah Jazz. No offense to Darren and Darryl Griffith. He's just don't get this. This is not the kind of player that you could. To get a player like this, you have to have the right year that you're not good. 2, you have to have lottery luck, and 3, you got to have a draft that has players like this. You could have gotten the Anthony Bennett draft. You could have gotten, the Michael Olakani draft. You could have gotten a lot of these others. Like, even recently, which was a decent draft, Paul Boncaro, Chet Holmgren, and Jabari Smith 1, 2, and 3. It was a good draft, but it's not that good, right? Like, these guys, all of these guys up top seem like they could be really, really special. They won't be. It's not how it works. But somebody here is going to hit. Someone's going to hit big. And Darryn's as likely as any other.
It wasn't that long ago that you were telling us the offense could be running through Ace Bailey. They could be turning over the keys to him by midseason. Now, Peterson figures to have the ball in his hands. Keontae George figures to have the ball in his hands. Is Ace Bailey going to be that awesome? You still think that happens? Does this draft pick change that arc? What are you expecting?
I'm all in on Ace Bailey. I think he's great. And I think maybe more importantly, what has maybe not been talked about enough about Ace Bailey is what Ace Bailey showed us in year one is he's about improvement, he's about team, and most importantly, he's about his teammates. There just are not that many guys that are about their teammates. Understandably, the system's not that. PK wasn't about his teammates when he was rising up through the writing ranks and the daily breeze. He was about his great piece every day. Most of us weren't. I wasn't particularly interested in the well-being of my teammates at Sports Radio 570. I was pretty interested in my ratings. Like, let's be perfectly honest about it.
Sure.
At 22 years old, there aren't that many guys that are about their teammates. Ace Bailey's about his teammates. It's really special. He's a neat kid, and he's about improvement. He's about his team and his teammates. And we didn't know that when we drafted him, and that's probably been the biggest revelation about Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey could be great. Ace Bailey could be Tracy McGrady great. Tracy McGrady was 7-time All-Star, 7-time top 10 MVP candidate player. That is a huge comment to say someone could be Tracy McGrady. I think Ace Bailey could be really, really good. He's got some little things he's got to work on. He's allergic to the free throw line. His shot numbers need to be better. They'll get better as he plays with better players. He's got, his hands aren't huge. He's got to figure out how he's going to get a good handle without John Stockton has massive hands. If you go back and look at his combine numbers on that, some of those, he's got a little, but I'm a big Ace Bailey believer. I think I would guess, I do think Will is naturally offensive-minded. I would guess that our closing five is Keontae, Darryn, Ace, Lowry, and Darryn. If that group shows it can rebound enough to be a closing five, it may not. You could go to all sorts of people in that setup, right? Like your primary set could be a nice little pin down for Lowry and let him turn the corner and all 7-1, Ivan Dragic, power and muscular fit powering to the rim on somebody, or you're catching Jaren Jackson the right corner for a three out of that, which is probably the option that the other team wants, or you have Darryn and Keontae playing off that with Ace. There's a lot of options here that are pretty great. I do think Ace Bailey 6'9", elevating, getting a shooting pocket, getting a little stronger, working like the kid's going to be great. But I'm in on Ace Bailey. I'm in on Darryn Peterson. We've got an unbelievable, if things, barring injuries, the good thing is that people got knocked out of their primaries, so we don't have to worry about that. For those who got that joke, that was funny. Something bizarre happening, like a legislator criticizing a player for autistic, that just sours people forever, or something crazy. We got a good run here. We got three or 4 years with this group, and then we've got a group that's Ace Bailey, Darryn Peterson, hopefully, and whatever pieces you put around it. This is incredible.
Well, I think the flip side to be that, let's just hope the players stay off social media and don't get caught up in that.
Yeah, that could be the flip side. But I don't think anyone really enjoys being insulted. Basically, we don't need to go down the road. It was out of line. I'll stick where I am. I feel pretty comfortable where I am on that one.
We'll leave it right there, David. Thanks as always. We'll talk to you next week.
You bet.
All right, there is David Locke. We'll take a break. When we come back, Brendan Haywood, 14-year NBA veteran, now in the media calling Wizards games. A.J. DeBonset of Washington. He is very high in the future of the Utah Jazz. We'll hear from Brendan Haywood next. Stay with us.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
DJ PK, and now Brendan Haywood joins us, 14-year NBA veteran. You see him on NBA TV. He's college basketball TV analyst as well. Brendan, good morning.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good. We're right in the middle of it. The draft is just recently in the rearview mirror. Here come free agencies and trades. Giannis is on the move. Maybe Brown is next. Let's start with the draft, just because obviously that's big news here in Utah. If you were ruling the world and you were the GM drafting 1, 2, and 3, would the top 3 players have gone in the order they went, or did you see things a little differently? Would you have mixed it up?
Yeah, I probably would have mixed it up a little bit. I think AJ would definitely go number 1. I think AJ and Darryn, they were battling back and forth all year long, and just the simple fact that AJ didn't have the cramping issue to worry about, you definitely take him number 1. Number 2, I would have taken Peterson, but at 3, I love Cam Boozer. Competed against his dad all my life from college and pro, but I would have went with Caleb Wilson. I just feel like he gives you a higher floor. I'm not saying that just because I'm a Carolina guy, but he's so much more athletic. He's such a better defensive player. He can switch pick and rolls. He gives you rim protection. He finishes strong, and sometimes Cam has a problem finishing over bigger guys. If you watched a lot of the Duke games, and he had to play against when he had to play against guys that were 6'10", 7 feet, that he couldn't bump out the way, he kind of struggled at times. So I probably would have took Caleb at 3.
So the Jazz did take Peterson, and there was that cramping issues. You know, BYU and Utah are in that league. I have a wooden ward vote, so I watched that team, Kansas. Everybody watches Kansas anyway. And when he played, man, he was electric. Particularly, we remember that BYU game in that first half. Wow, he was sensational. As a former player and knowing the grind that is involved in the NBA, and how difficult it is, what's your level of concern regarding the fact of the issues that he had in college?
I'm not really concerned because when I did my research on Darryn Peterson, everybody to a man that I knew that I know that scouts basketball, they said the kid's a hard worker. So a guy that's been a natural hard worker doesn't all of a sudden start trying to load manage in college. Like, that's not even what load management is. He's load managing. No, like, to load manage, you have to, like, not play that day. So that's false. So when I did the research, I found out, the kid was a really, really hard worker. He just had these body cramp issues from trying to work too hard. He was taking creatine and trying to work out 3-4 times a day, and he just forced himself into these tremendous cramps. And I'm just thinking to myself, I still like that guy's game because when I watch him play, he scores the ball easy. I called his game versus UCF, and he only played in the first half of that game. But, man, it might have been the easiest 20 I've ever seen scored in college basketball. I'm just like, he looked like he's not even breaking a sweat. Yeah. And what made that game so special is he had been out for like 2 to 3 weeks prior. It was his first game back. And so I just think the sky's the limit for this kid. Legit 6'5" size, the combo guard. And then the biggest thing is if you go back and watch his high school tape, he's more of an on-ball point guard than he was at Kansas. Kansas, they had him playing off the ball a lot. And no disrespect to anybody, but it's going to come off wrong. But Bill Self didn't put that team together well for Darryn Peterson. Like you can't have a point guard like Darryn Peterson, have him play off the ball, and then don't have any shooters. They didn't have any wing shooters. They didn't have a stretch 4, stretch 5, nothing. That's why St. John was able to beat them the way they did. They just cut the paint off on him and forced him to pass the ball to guys that couldn't shoot. So when I look at Darryn Peterson averaging over 20 points per game with the cramping issues, playing against older players in college basketball is really old now. Guys are 23, 24 years old, and then doing it with a roster that's probably not that good. No one on that Kansas team was getting drafted. Like, that tells you how good he is. Like, everything was actually set up against him. He had the cramps. He had the bad roster. He didn't have any shooting. He had to play a different style than what we're used to. This kid worked on his game so much, everybody thinks he's a natural shooter. Shooting was actually the part of his game that people were worried about the most coming into college. Utah has a great one. He is going to transcend that franchise.
Wow.
There are people here who think that Ace Bailey's trajectory is fantastic And we've been told by some people that guy is going to be running the offense by February. That was before Peterson got drafted. And obviously Keontae George had the ball in his hands and made a big step forward. How would you prioritize splitting up, who starts the offense? I mean, once you get into the 24-second clock, all kinds of things can happen. But who starts it and how much of the time? How'd you rank those guys?
Well, I think it's going to start out with Darryn Peterson, obviously, because he's the number 2 pick, and then it's going to be Keontae George. Keontae George was great last year. He's gotten better every single year. 13 points as a rookie, 17 as a sophomore. Last year, 24 points per game. The offense is going to be initiated by those two guys. Now, I know Ace Bailey has talent, but as long as those two guys are on the floor, that's where the offense is going to be initiated. Ace Bailey would probably be better served coming off the bench where you can use him as instant offense. Where one of those guys goes off the court and then you bring Ace Bailey in so that you can start running plays directly for him. Because if he's out there with Peterson and if he's out there with George and Jaren Jackson and I can't think of big fella's name.
Kessler.
No.
Marketing Kessler Jackson. Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of marketing name. Like, no, there's not going to be so many shots for Ace Bailey. That's a strong crew. Like, Utah's in a great position. This isn't your average number 2 team. This team has some real ballers. Most number 2 teams come in there. Yeah, we're 3. We don't have much talent. They have front court depth. They have a 24-point per game scored. Like, this team has some bodies. You got a nice young player, Bailey. I like this Utah team.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we were talking to him about, that coming in number 2, it's not a rebuild situation. They're expected to win. It's going to be exciting, particularly after 4 losing seasons in a row in which they were trying to get draft picks and all that stuff, but that's over now. And you spoke of Keontae George, and he's been able to make substantial improvement each year. What do young players need to do in the offseason, particularly in the summer, to make sure that their climb is still on an ascension rather than leveling off? Because it seems like there's so much more to come for all of these younger guys. So I'm just wondering how intense the summer needs to be.
Man, when you're a young player, it is essential that you continue to work on your weaknesses, and then you have to work on what you're going to be able to use. I'll give you an example. I remember one summer I was shooting, I've told this story before, I was shooting step-back jumpers. I was in Charlotte. And rest in peace, I played with a guy in college by the name of Jason Capel. And his father, Jeff, was one of the assistant coaches for Charlotte. And he pulled me to the side. He said, "Hey, Brendan." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Why are you working on step-back jumpers?" I said, "I'm trying to expand my game." He's like, "Yeah, but do you hit regular jumpers?" I was like, "A little bit." He was like, "Well, how many shots do you get a game?" I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "You play with Gilbert Arenas." He started running. Antoine James. You think you got 4 or 5 step back jumpers a game for you to take? No. Well, then why are you working on that shot? That shot's not for you. He said you're better off working on your left hand jump hook. You'll get 3 to 4 of those off a game. I'm like, "You're right." So you need to work on for me, my weakness was my left hand, but then I needed to work on something that was more sustainable for me. We see so many young guys trying to work on everything. Like, yeah, I'm working on my tween, cross, and you're looking at them like, "Bro, you play with 3 All-Stars. Ain't no tween, cross. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, bro. Like, listen, if you play for, you can name any team. If you play for the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel got to touch the ball, Maxey got to touch the ball, Edgecombe, and then Paul George. If you're a young guy working on in and out, spin, cross, hey, bro, you're working on the wrong thing. You better figure out how to play off those guys. That's what young guys need to do. If you're gonna be a marquee guy, work on your weaknesses for your marquee skill set. But if you're a role player, you need to work on what you need to get better at, but at the same time, what fits your team. Like, Danny Green worked on hitting corner threes because guess what? He wasn't going to be able to go tween, cross.
Good point.
Where do you think Jaylen Brown is going to end up, and what is the price tag? What should it be?
I mean, Jaylen Brown has definitely increased the price tag. I don't think there's any chance in the world that Boston can run it back with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I think that relationship has run its course. I don't think those guys dislike each other. I think it's just simply a difference of opinion of how things should be run. I think the organization and Jason Tatum wanted to go back to the old way. Jaylen Brown was like, no, I just proved to you that I don't have to be anybody's Robin. I just proved to you I could be Batman. And I think when you have that type of mindset to win a championship, everybody has to be pulling in the same direction. So you're not going to win if Jaylen Brown is trying to prove that he should be the team's leading scorer, and then Jason Tatum's over there trying to prove the same thing. It's not going to work. Maybe you do a package deal with New Orleans where you get, I don't know, maybe you get Queen back and Trey Murphy and something else, but I think that Boston will have to move Jaylen Brown. I don't think you can come back and honestly win because I don't think their two best players are going to be on the same page.
We shall see, huh? It'll be interesting. A.J. DeBonson, now you have a little history with the Wizards there. You played there. Now, that's an interesting situation because they're a team that really that he's joining hasn't been on the floor much together with the Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Sarr came along a little bit last year. How do you think that A.J. needs to be trying to fit in while still being able to assert himself?
I think that, first and foremost, everybody needs to sit down and talk. Hey, what are we trying to do? What's our goals? How are we going to figure this out? What really happens, the teams that don't communicate well, this guy starts thinking one way, that guy starts thinking another way. You got to understand how are we going to go about winning. And at the start of the year, if you got AD and you got Trae Young and you got AJ, you got to figure out how do we go about the process, because we know AD is still a all-star level talent. So is Trae Young, but let's not get it twisted. We know AD Devanska is the future. He is the future in DC. So there has to be this mixing and melting and meshing of offensive concepts and how we win games, and that takes time. But the biggest thing is communicating. It's like, hey, Trae, what do you like in this situation? And Trae doing the same thing. AJ, listen, in tight games, what plays do we want to run? How do we want to get to certain actions? And just figuring it out. But I really like this Wizards team. I think they're going to be underrated. I don't think a lot of people are really seeing them the same way I am. Maybe that's because I call games for them. Who knows? But I love Sarr's development. I love Sarr combined with AD. I think that's a solid defensive front line. Then you Trae Young. He didn't sign for $212 million because he can't play. You know, he's the same age as Austin Reeves, and people are acting like he's like 45. So Trae, I don't understand it. Trae Young's deal is the worst deal ever, but Austin Reeves' deal is good for the Lakers. Like, all right, whatever you want to do, but Trae can still play. I think you team up Trae with AJ, and then some of the young players last year like Trey Johnson, and some of the other young guys on this team. I think the Wizards are a sneaky team that can make the playoffs.
You said the Jazz had a strong crew. They have had a good team here multiple times, and then they look over and they're the Lakers. Are the Lakers about to put something together and be really good right when the Jazz are good again? Or do you think that Austin Reeves was good at a $30 million price tag, but I guess Detroit wanted him, so the Lakers had to go big, and they're going to paint themselves into a corner here? What is the Lakers' future?
No one can tell you the Lakers' future until you figure out how they're going to play defense. And that's going to be the problem. You have Austin Reeves, you have Luka Doncic. Okay, now we need rim protection and two-way guys to cover those guys up. If they figure out that problem, they'll be fine. If they don't figure out that problem, they'll be one of those teams that looks good in the regular season but doesn't get it done in the postseason. I'll give you this one for free. If you ever want to spot a fraudulent team in the NBA, look for the team that's really good offensively, but they're ranked like 25th defensively. That team's never winning. That team's never going to win. They'll win. They might win 50 games. They might finish 4th, 5th in the East or the West. But if you can't stop anybody, when these games slow down, when the officials allow that hand-to-hand combat like we were watching in the NBA Finals, when they start allowing the physicality to come back in the game and you don't have these defenders, you're in trouble. And the Lakers right now, they don't have enough defenders to cover up their two best offensive players' weaknesses.
Brendan, I'm always fascinated how players, what they do when their career is over and they've had these, whether it's short or long, how they make the adjustment into what I would call real life. And it seems like, at least from the distance, that you made it in a smooth manner. How did you be able to figure out as you were growing older that you were going to use the game rather than let the game use you, and you've made this transition to where you are now, and you're an analyst and a commentator and all that? Because it seems like you must have had some mental preparedness to be ready when that time came.
Well, first and foremost, where a lot of people struggle is basketball was what I did, is not who I am. I love it. But some people, when they step away from the game, they lose themselves because they're no longer hearing the applause. They're no longer playing in front of 20,000. So basketball, I never lost myself like that. I always loved the game, but it wasn't my whole identity. And then throughout that, it just came down to when I was ready to retire, I found something that I thought I was good at and that I liked, and I just stuck with that. And it was, hey, I always loved to talk the game of basketball. Even with these conversations that I'm having you are the same conversations that I have with my best friends on group chats. Like, yo, how good do we think Utah is going to be? Mm-hmm. How are the Lakers going to defend? Like, I found a way to take what I do on a normal basis and get paid to do it, and I love it, and I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. Mm-hmm. NBA, post-NBA, if you can find something that you like to do but it don't feel like work, that's the path. And so once I retired and I started doing analyst work, I was like, yeah, this is the path. This is where I want to. This is where I need to be, because I can paint a picture with my words. I can tell you exactly what I see and why I think it will work or won't work. I won't be right all the time, but a lot of times my experience will lead me to be right, and I can give it to you in a way where it's not super complicated. And I just that type of style works well for me in this field, and I've been able to just hone my craft and perfect it year after year.
Do players talk to you about that? Do you see guys in the league who are, 28, 30, 32, getting pretty late in their career, quiz you on that? Or do you see guys, veterans, and you think, oh, it's going to be a bumpy road for this guy in a couple of years?
I think everybody's different. We're seeing, first and foremost, now that we have so much direct-to-consumer action, we're seeing so many more podcasts, so many more players are getting in this space because it's more jobs. It used to be, oh, man, if you weren't with one of the networks, that was it. But now it's like, hey, man, you got these podcasts that are doing well. You got Out the Mud with Tony Allen and Zach Randolph. Man, I never even knew Tony Allen could talk when he was in the league. He never got interviewed. Like seriously, when we was with the Celtics, it wasn't like, forget Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. We're gonna go interview Tony Allen. Like probably only the local people knew Tony Allen had that much personality. But Tony's great. Zebo is great. You got All the Smoke with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes. Jeff Teague is going to be known more for his podcasting than playing basketball. Guarantee it. Like, there's going to be kids in 5, 6, 7 years that aren't even going to realize that Jeff Teague really, really played and was cold and was an all-star, because he has such a platform with 520 and his friends and what they do from a podcast space. So right now, man, we have more players getting involved in that space than ever. And so you see certain guys, I can't tell you who's going to make it and who's not, because from a national stage, they really only want to interview the top 2 or 3 guys. So there's guys that can talk that you never knew could talk. Like, if you go look at Mammoth, I told Udonis Haslem, I said, bro, man, when you had that big old black mouthpiece in your mouth in Miami, I never knew you could speak this well. Like I never knew Udonis Haslem was this well-spoken and this well thought out, and that's why he's thriving in this space. So to answer your question, I can't even judge a book by its cover, because so many of these guys have personality that you didn't even know have it. Because they don't get a chance to show it on a national space.
Brendan, it was great to have you on the air. Share these stories and get your thoughts on some of these moves in the NBA. Thanks for joining us, and continued good luck in your career.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Thanks for having me. And to all your listeners, hey, man, make sure you check out my Instagram, bwood_33, and also go to my other page, Tallest Tales. I'm giving you some of the best NBA stories out there, but I'm mixing them with animation. I guarantee you're going to love it. Also out on YouTube at These Tallest Tales. Tallest Tales, I'm telling you right now, is taking over some of the best content out there. Go check out some of the stories. I guarantee you're going to come back.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you, Brendan.
Appreciate it.
All right, there is Brendan Haywood. Coming up, Steve Cleveland will join us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth, at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. What is trending? The headlines are next.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
I'm somewhat grateful because I get to see some negativity that I didn't want, but that just gives more fuel to the fire. I get to see some comments or takes that I didn't even care to see, but it just gives me more fuel to the fire. So all the people that's doubting me, that want me to do this or want me gone or whatever, you're turning me into a monster.
Jaylen Brown's got a chip on his shoulder, PK. He finds out not everyone thinks he's good. Not everyone thinks he can go left and finish. Not everyone thinks he's a top dog.
There's no one on the planet who thinks Jaylen Brown is not good. No one.
That's true.
So it's all manufactured.
Oh, I don't think it's all manufactured. Because I think it's about being very good. It's about being great. Are you the second best guy in a championship team? Are you the best guy in a championship team? I think the Pippen analogies you were drawing last week were very good.
Jaylen Brown has not quit once.
That's true. But as far as you want to be recognized as more, but all the credit's going to this person over here.
All the credit is not going anywhere.
I mean, the difference with Pippen is Pippen got
saturating it.
Pippen got didn't get paid the way Brown got paid. That's for sure.
It's all manufactured.
You don't think they're going to trade him?
Yes. But his chip on his shoulder is all manufactured, which is fine. Jordan did that all the time.
Yeah,
it's not real, but it doesn't matter. To him, it's real.
I think that if they thought he was as good as he thinks he is, he wouldn't be tradable. They just wouldn't trade him. And the fact they're going to.
You can't have two number ones. It doesn't exist. In the history of the sport, it's never existed.
Magic and Kareem.
No.
That's the outlier.
No.
Magic let Kareem think he was number one. But I'll be number one when it really matters.
There's only one number one. That's, by definition, there can't be. And that's what you have. So Jaylen Brown is drumming up some type of offense against him. And fine, let him do that.
Oklahoma City Thunder retained center Isaiah Hartenstein on a 3-year, $75 million contract extension.
Yeah, and all their big thing on their big payroll, and you're doom and gloom with the Jazz. They got rid of Wiggins and Joe Isaiah. Who cares?
So far.
And Lou Dort. Who cares?
They're deep enough. That's why people believe in them in the long run, that they're deep enough to shed contracts because they were up at like 200.
And the Jazz just need to be deep enough, and they can shed a bunch of peripheral guys too. And they're fine players, but they're not the nucleus.
But the Jazz aren't there yet.
Not even close. So why create that issue that, by your own acknowledgement, they're not even there, but yet you've got in 2 years, Jazz fans, this thing is going to suck because they're all going to have to be traded. Or big-time guys are going to have to be let go.
Well, big-time guys are going to have to be let go.
Except for the Thunder haven't let Joe Isaiah. Or is it Isaiah Joe? I don't know. Who cares? That's the point.
Letting Lou Dort go is letting a starter go. But it did say the Jazz.
Yeah, you get one of five, yes.
Right,
that's
and
true.
I think that's what the Jazz would have to do in a couple of years, is
and
one of five.
if they win a title and have to let somebody the caliber of Lou Dort go, all in favor say aye. Of course. That's not a problem. If that's a problem, sign me the freak up every day and twice on Sundays.
Yes. Does your mom say that a lot?
No, Scotty does.
Okay. The way you did it is the voice you use when you're quoting the sayings from your mom.
No.
Of which she had a
Life
few.
sucked for her. She wouldn't want signed up for anything.
On Sundays. As PK mentioned, OK did trade Isaiah Joe to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for
It's not okay.
OKC.
Okay, traded.
Who? Man. I. I can't get to Ozzy Osbourne this early in the morning.
The
and
OK
not keep
trade
my head
is-
on. OKC.
Do not derail what the Jazz have been building here.
No, I tend to
UT
accelerate
will
through
be
it.
fine.
2 future second-round picks is what the Pistons pay to get Isaiah
Well, it ain't
Joe.
going to be past second-round picks.
Charlotte Hornets trade Miles Bridges, a 2029 first-round pick, and a 2027 second-round pick to the Phoenix Suns for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a 2033 first-round pick. So if you're one of those people who follows former Jazz men, well, there go 2 of them in that deal. Charlotte's shaking it up. Guess they thought they'd capped out. Didn't want to run it back with that group and see what they had. They are making moves left and right.
Well, I think they want Kobe White to start there over Ball.
Yeah.
So they've slided in Bridges. I mean, he's got a sordid past.
Yep. Warriors reportedly interested in signing LeBron James as a free agent this summer. Hopes of reuniting him with Anthony Davis, per Yahoo Sports' Kevin O'Connor. The move to add AD means a trade with the Wizards, which would probably have to feature Jimmy Butler and draft picks.
Who cares? Does that move the needle at all?
Celebrity, and as far as are they going to challenge for the championship, I would think not. I think they're still clearly on a tier. They'd be better if everyone were healthy, which is a big question mark. But even if everyone is healthy, I think they'd still be on a tier below Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
Who'd want Jimmy Butler at this stage?
The Wizards, because he's an expiring contract. He's done in 1 year, whereas AD signed for multiple. So they get out from under the big salary and presumably go get somebody else.
Well, you got to keep him for a year, so
Yep.
you want to win. I mean, who would want Jimmy Butler? It makes no sense.
NBA announced the Jazz and Wizards will open the Las Vegas Summer League against one another, so it's Darryn Peterson versus A.J. Devonsa for the first time as pros.
You acted like that was, that's the key to that deal. Well, if I got to have Jimmy Butler for another year, that means AD is 1 year closer to being expired himself.
Yeah, but he's not
and I'd
done.
rather have him than Jimmy Butler. It's not a good move.
Maybe the deal won't happen. AD is signed for 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So that if you can wait 1 year on Jimmy Butler, you can wait one more year on AD.
Maybe you don't want to wait one more year. Be
Why
done in
not?
one, not in two, because you don't think you're going to win with either one of them. Butler's hurt.
Then
He
why the hell
tore
did you
his-
trade for Anthony Davis in the first place if you didn't think you were going to win with him?
That's a
It
great
doesn't
question.
add up.
That's a great question. Somebody thought it was a good idea, and that somebody isn't you, it isn't me, and it isn't Yock. But somebody thought it was a good idea.
Well, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I think you do think it's a bad idea.
I think getting Jimmy Butler is a bad idea. I'd rather have Anthony Davis for 2 than Jimmy Butler for 1.
I think I'd rather have them both for 0. And since that isn't an option for the Wizards anymore because they made that AD trade that I don't get.
Well, the other thing is the Wizards are
Better 1 than 2.
already talked about extending AD. He's
Yeah.
an eligible extension in August.
They
so-
want him.
Okay. Well, he's 33 and he's been hurt a lot. It seems like he's going to be hurt a lot more. And his salary's $58 million going to $62. And Yock, to your point about extension, where does it go from? Maybe they get a Rudy Gobert kind of deal because Gobert did a 3-year deal where he lowered the amount of money he got. I don't know if AD's to that point in his life
It's
yet.
a little different, I think.
Yeah. If they can give him the extension and get the number down, then that's more intriguing. But you just can't count on him being healthy. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I didn't play great in the Super Bowl. Like, I missed, way too many throws, and we still won. Our defense balled out, and I didn't turn the ball over, which helped. But, dude, to, win the Super Bowl that way, I was, kind of bummed.
Kind of bummed when he won the Super Bowl. Couldn't fully enjoy it. Is that just something you say later? If we go back and find the video of him, is it going to look like he's
Well, you better say who's
thrilled?
saying it.
That's Sam Darnold. Well, he's the only guy who threw passes in the Super Bowl and won it.
Great, and you know that,
Yeah.
and every listener knows that.
Well, now they do.
We're speaking to them, not to you.
Hi, listeners. Canadian Football League will not allow former Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby to play in the CFL this year. Quote, upholding the integrity of the league and ensuring fair competition are paramount to the CFL. The allegations involving Brendan Sorsby are serious and concerning. That's the statement from the CFL. Buffalo Bills will not honor O.J. Simpson in their new stadium. The others who are part of the team's Wall of Fame will be honored in the stadium. Simpson likely the only one who will not be.
Yeah, I think if you butcher 2 people and destroy the lives of many others, I'm okay with that.
Gonna let that drop by the wayside in the new building.
Do you think he slaughtered 2 people?
I think he did it.
Yeah.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag college football. Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Swung on, hit high in the air, right center field, pretty deep. Ewing back, track, wall, gone, number 30. Kyle Schwarber puts the Phillies on top with a 2-run turnaround homer here in the top of the 7th.
Swinging a line drive to right field, base hit, ball game over. The Red Sox have swept the Yankees. The final 5-4.
Well, last week you said you are amazed that the Yankees keep winning without Aaron Judge.
You kept asking me for like 13 days in
a
row.
And you said that really amazes you.
I know, so you would stop talking about it.
Well, now I can because they lost 4 in a row and they came back down to earth. They were 12-5 without him. This is not who they are. It's actually a great stat on Aaron Judge. He's basically worth 10 wins a year to the Yankees. That is a lot of impact for a guy who gets to bat, once every 2 or 3 innings. We're almost to golf, and it just ended. We're watching here live in the studio.
1 freaking hole.
Yeah, well. So Jared Durant walks things off for the Red Sox, and now the Yankees are 12-9 without Judge, having lost 4 in a row. Kyle Schwarber hit his MLB best 30th homer of the season as the Phillies beat the Mets 5-4.
The Bambino, part 2.
Right? Nobody in Phillies history has 30 home runs through 84 games, except for Kyle Schwarber, who's done it this year. He's actually got 5 more home runs than everybody else in the major leagues. Hunter Goodman, Jordan Alvarez, Byron Buxton on 25, and Schwarber's on 30. Padres lost 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers. Dodgers now up by 10, just pulling away, disappearing over the horizon. Salt Lake Bees split a 6-game series with Albuquerque. They lost the finale 11-5. Vegas and the Bees tomorrow. It's kicking off a new 6-game series here in Utah. All right. Ready to hit the golf yacht since the playoff is over.
Hashtag golf.
Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, sudden death playoff Travelers Championship. That was a lot of drama at 18 last night, PK. That was pretty sweet. Victor Hovland wins it here. They're interviewing him now. He had a chance to win it last night. Somehow that putt crawled around the hole and stayed out. And Scheffler made a tough comebacker, but Hovland, you saw more of the shots here. What was the key to this hole?
The birdie putt went in.
How long was it?
It was probably 6-7 feet.
Yeah.
And Scheffler was probably 5-6 feet. Scheffler and Hovland went first, and it snuck in the right side. And then Scheffler stood over it, backed away, which as soon as you do that, you're toast.
That's bad news.
Yeah. And he missed it left.
Victor Hovland wins the Travelers Championship. Scotty Scheffler with a lot of second and third place finishes this year. He's winning a lot of money. He's playing really well, but he is not winning a lot of tournaments. Certainly not at the clip he did the last couple of years. DJ and PK.
Now this would be a lovely time to score a goal if you're Canadian. Schaffelberg, away by Ocon. On the strike from Eustachio!
Canada with a late goal, stoppage time. They shut out South Africa. That was the only goal of the game. They win. They advance to the round of 16. They are pumped in Canada. The rest of the knockout play starts today. Just one game yesterday. Brazil and Japan at 11 a.m., Germany and Paraguay, and then the Netherlands and Morocco. U.S. coming up on Wednesday. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Utah Mammoth trade forward J.J. Peterka to the Boston Bruins for 2 first-round picks. They did that Friday. One this year, one's a couple of years out. Then they immediately took that number 23 pick they just acquired, and they sent it to Detroit for goaltender Sebastian Casa. So we were talking about what are they going to do for a goalie. There you go. Somebody to join Vejmelka. He was a 15th pick in the draft, a first-rounder in his own right, but he's 23, I think. So he's
considered the top prospect, but they have two goalies who are that for Detroit. So they picked one, and
Detroit keeps one and moves one.
Other.
Yeah, moves one to Utah. Utah also traded their number 19 pick and a third-round pick and moved up 2 spots to take Ethan Belchetz, who is only 18 years old and scheduled to go to Michigan State. And speculation that he'll be there for more than 1 year. He is huge. 6'5", 230 as an 18-year-old. As Bill Armstrong values making that team bigger and more physical. That's a guy who's plenty big enough. Utah's Prospects Camp gets underway 10 a.m. today at the Utah Mammoth Ice Center in Sandy. San Jose Sharks made draft history, taking a 7'1" Moldovan defenseman, Alexander Karmenov, in the 7th round. He's going to stay in junior hockey and go to Penn State, so he's a ways away, but a 7'1" hockey player. Unreal. Coming up, more hockey with Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice. He's going to join us at 9 o'clock this morning. Steve Cleveland, former Cougar coach, at 8 o'clock. We'll talk about the Jazz draft and then look ahead to free agency and trade scenarios to the Utah Jazz with Steve Cleveland. That's what's trending. Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. No job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. The question of the day is next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LaCombe.
Joining us now, it is Kurt Heelan, NBC Sports, ProBasketballTalk.com.
You mentioned Walker Kessler, and what do you make of that? What do you read between the lines, I guess?
This is, look, it sucks to be a restricted free agent in the modern NBA because your leverage is largely gone if the team that has your rights lets it be known they're going to re-sign you, which is rightfully what Utah's doing. Does it drive down his market? Yeah, that's kind of the point too. But the reality is they're not letting him go. They can match and force a sign-in, at worst, force a sign-in trade and get back other things they want. So I think this is the agent trying to, man, we're not happy. At the end of the day, the sides will come to a number and agree to it. And if he's really frustrated, you push for a shorter deal. You try to get back on the market sooner, and maybe Danny's good with that, and you figure something out.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G and the coach Tim LaCombe tomorrow from 10 to 2 at Tim Dolly Mazda, 10785 South Automall Drive in South Jordan. DJ and PK, it is time for the question of the day. Darryn Peterson's Mamba mentality tat, now available on social media. What better role model is there as a player? And PK, this just reopens an old wound, one that really, I don't think people stop talking about until he's played 82 games in there in the playoffs.
What's the wound?
Him sitting out at Kansas, just tons of people bringing it up. William, bro should have gotten the Kawhi Leonard tattoo instead. Chase, super fake, come on.
What?
Michael, yeah, because Mamba mentality checks out of games and does load management in high school. To which Antoine says, you meant college.
Wait, but that's not the point there, is that Kobe Bryant is his, what do you call it?
Well, I would say it was his it was his favorite player as a kid, and as he got better, he's clearly trying to channel him in his game.
Yeah, well, yeah. But the question is, what better role model? As a ball player, can you come up with a better role model? I can come up with some really good ones, but I don't know that you can come up with a better one.
5-time champion, love to compete at both ends of the floor, hit big-time shots. If you just want to boil it down to some basics, those are some good boxes to check right there.
He gave everything he had to the game. He cheated the game out of nothing. He had such respect for the game that he put all that he had into it. That's pretty good, man, if you're asking me. And even if you're not asking me, you don't have to ask me because my name's on the show. So ha, ha,
ha. Now that you mention it.
I think that's an outstanding
It's really
role
the
model.
Perpetual ask. You don't need to be asked once they slap your name. It's just understood you've been asked.
True. You're going to hear what I have to say, whether you like it or not. So sit down and shut up and listen. You got no choice. Once you turn on our station, you're forced to hear what I have to say.
What are you going to do? We'll just sit here quietly and just... When I was doing college radio with somebody, and they messed up the board, and so the tape was rolling. They're trying to play an interview that was taped, and it wasn't going over there. It was quiet, and I said, "Well, you gotta hit this button lever thingy right here." They're like, "Well, it's okay. Some people like quiet." I'm like, "Yeah, but those people don't turn on the radio." Come on, man.
No, I had several people. Was it a couple of weeks ago in the 6 o'clock hour? I turned on the radio, and their station didn't hear anything. And I said, there was a little issue.
Technical difficulties.
So, Kobe Bryant, I hold him as a ball player. We're speaking as a ball player here in the highest regard. And you know who else did?
Phil Jackson.
Jerry Sloan.
Okay. I mean, we could go through a long list of basketball lifers.
But everybody in this state, even if you've gotten here in the last 5 years, if you're an NBA person, you hold Jerry Sloan in the highest regard.
Right.
Who never, for 40-some years, cheated the game out of anything. And these guys get paid enormous amounts of money now. Not that Jerry did, but I'm talking about now. And the one thing we take from it is if they ball out, then the money, which is so outrageous, doesn't really faze us. It's when they cheat the game, they cheat themselves, they cheat their teammates, they cheat the fans, then it becomes obnoxious.
The people who are given 70%, that's when the money gets discussed.
Yes.
But the people who are just bringing it, no one complains about what the Joker makes because nobody thinks that guy's cheating the game. Nobody complains about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, what he makes. Nobody thinks he's cheating the game. So, you can go on down the line.
So if you ball out, then every fan feels good about that. And it doesn't matter that he was with the Lakers, he had the off-the-court stuff. I am talking about between the lines. The jersey, color, name, doesn't matter. That man, for 18 years, whatever it was, he left it all out there. And he was a phenomenal player, and that elevates him into a different stratosphere. But I'm not really talking about that stratosphere.
Well, to your point, there are guys who have to give of themselves that much to be the 8th best guy on a team, or to stay in the league 10 years.
Right.
They don't cheat the game. You squeeze every last ounce out of it. Jacques Vaughn did whatever he could to stay in the NBA as long as he could. And he wasn't going to be Kobe no matter how hard he worked.
Right. But that's another story.
Right.
Now, if you want to talk about ball playing ability, oh my gosh, if Darryn Peterson gets anywhere near what Kobe Bryant did, then wow, that's the greatest pick that the Jazz have ever made, and he might be the best player of all time in franchise history.
The thing that stood out in all his comments were when he was talking about the defensive end of the floor, competing in the defensive end of the floor. To me, that's the thing that stands out about Kobe, because there's a lot of guys who score points and a lot of guys who hit big shots. But if you watched the Lakers game, you could see, and you didn't have to watch 10,000 NBA games to know a lot about the sport. You could see how hard Kobe would compete at the defensive end of the floor. And I think Jerry Sloan probably loved a lot of things about Kobe, but I'm sure Jerry noticed that and loved that. And Peterson is a super smooth scorer. I don't think anybody has questions about the offensive game. If he wants to compete like that at the defensive end of the floor as a 6'5" guy with a massive wingspan, he's going to have a huge impact. He's going to have a big-time impact. And when your best player, practices hard, your best player hits the weight room hard, your best player defends hard, that pushes all the other guys. Now, he's got to be the best player, right? But we think he's got a ton of ability. And now he's talking about having this mentality, and you better have it at the defensive end of the floor. Kobe did. And then if you've got it, other people have to have it. And that's encouraging. Now, as you would say about Greg Ostertag back in the day, it's just words right now. Let's go see it for 82 games. But all you can do at a press conference is the words. And he said the right stuff. Now you got to go back it up. And we'll all watch in this. We'll have Summer League games. We'll have 3 in Salt Lake, and then however many he plays in Vegas. It could be another 5, 6, 7 there. how hard does he compete defensively? It's easy to say it, and it's easy to do it, the first time for the first quarter. But that was the magic of Kobe, is Kobe was sustaining that game after game, month after month, year after year. We saw him come in here his whole career, and to your point, he didn't cheat the game. Yeah, he might have shot air balls, but he was battling at the other end of the floor. And we all know the shots don't always go in. Old. Yeah, the shots don't always go in, but you got to battle at the other end of the floor.
You think then there'll be no problem offensively?
That's the least of my worries. I mean, I probably shouldn't say that because lots of good players can have issues at times, but I really don't see what it's going to be with him. I think
at times.
You're on one today. You're in prime form. We're
at
times. No, I'm really not worried about the offensive end of the floor. I mean, I know it could happen. He's just starting out, and I shouldn't take things for guaranteed. But I think the thing I've heard that I don't know is the whole thing about how dominant he was on the ball in high school and how much he wants to get back to that in college.
Well,
and he alluded to it, that in college he played more off the ball. Which, I mean, I think he's fine at, but he's also really good on the ball. So why not mix it up? That's all we ever hear is give the team multiple looks.
Well, I mean, he'll have the ball.
I know.
In order to score, you have to have the ball.
Right, but does he get to start the offense and run pick and rolls and score in that situation as opposed to sitting on the other side of the court waiting for someone to give him the ball?
Well, go get the ball.
I suspect he will. I suspect he'll just be given the ball for stretches of the game. Can't know anything. He hasn't even played a summer league game yet. But yes, these are the things I expect or suspect. Or give me another word.
Well, I think his prospects are pretty good.
Nice.
I think he'll be able to do what it's, and you have to allow for growth, though.
Yeah.
It's not going to be game one immediately. And, to what level of growth remains to be seen. It could be a few games. It could be a few months. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't go as far as a few years. If it's a few years, then you got a problem. But you have to see how he fits in. I do think in some of my conversation over the weekend, and we'll never know this because it didn't come to pass, but through information of reliable that I believe, if they had the number one pick, they would have taken Darryn Peterson.
They had convinced themselves of that.
I believe, now I haven't seen the handwriting like we saw with Taylor Hendricks.
But you believe a list exists.
And he was number one on that list.
Interesting.
Yes.
It's plausible to me. I don't know that. I think you got better info here. I'd love to guess where you got it.
But at the same time, they won't have to answer to that because it didn't happen.
No, it's true. It didn't.
And so even if they had him, I'm not necessarily saying most resoundingly guaranteed they would have taken him because you could still change. But I believe he was number one on their list for what that's worth. And right now it doesn't matter anyway. But
all they have to answer for now is Peterson better than Boozer? Is Peterson better than whoever? You can go down
Was he the right pick?
Right. Was he the right pick? Yeah. They don't have to answer for DeBonce.
Well, I mean, in a sense they do because they could have traded for DeBonce. If DeBonce blows up and is a top 5 all-time player, then we're splitting hairs a little bit here. Yeah. And if Peterson does his thing, then you're not really worried about that. But I believe their intelligence led them to think that he was the number one player on their list. And so I think that immediately when we saw the fist pump being number 2, that they knew they would get either or. And they were extremely comfortable with either or. And I think they also thought that Washington was going to go with the popular pick to take him number 1, DeBonce. Yeah. So then they didn't have to worry about it. Because I do think they'll never admit that, but I do think these drafts, it's amazing how they tend to go real close to the order that the 75 mock drafts have out there. And it's like, whoa, everybody says we should take them, so let's take them.
There's a feedback loop there.
And now in social media more than ever.
Yep.
Everything is available all the time.
Those early mock drafts to get the word from a few people, and then it just keeps getting perpetuated, and when push comes to shove.
Yeah. What does that mean? Hopefully for them and for the fan base, it means great things. Because going into the draft of the Enes Kanter draft and Alec Burks draft, whatever year that was, 2011, I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when it was. When I walked into the arena that night, because we were broadcasting from the floor of the arena across the street, that I got the information immediately that if Kanter was available, they were going to take him, and they were very confident in all that, and it didn't work. So for what it's worth, and that was a blown pick. I don't think this will be a blown pick by any stretch.
Well,
but I like
pick,
the fact that they think that he was their guy.
Yeah. With Kanter, they were going off basically an all-star game and didn't get to play in college, whereas we saw Peterson play in college.
Yeah, which actually hurt him.
the part where he sat, yes. But when we watched him play against BYU, didn't you think this is a guy who's going to score a lot of buckets in the NBA?
I think he is the definition of smooth jazz, and I don't think that you got to let him get his bearings.
Sure.
I think he is easily, if there's such a thing, which I don't think there is such a thing, but the point being is that he can accumulate 20 points, and you're gonna think he barely broke a sweat.
Yeah.
It's something that just comes natural, and he has the ability to do all these types of things in the manner of scoring, whatever form outside of the sky hook or something that involves putting the ball in the basket, he can do. Now, nobody plays with their back to the basket anymore, so I'm talking about at his position, that as a wing guy, however you think a wing guy should be able to score, he can and will be able to do that. To me, the only thing that's going to derail him is himself, outside of injury. I don't think anybody purposely tries to get injured. And I'm not saying that he's going to have any character issues, but he's never been this, whatever he's about to undergo, it's never been to this level. Because now the spotlight, the money, the temptation, all the perils that go along with celebrity are available to him if he so chooses. And hopefully for him and the team, and most especially for him, that he does not fall prey to any of that. But I believe the only thing that's going to derail him is going to be himself. And I'm not saying he's going to do that by any stretch. And to what level? Are we talking 20 points a game? Are we talking guaranteed Locke all-star? Are we talking Hall of Fame? Are we talking all-time player? That's what we're going to discover over the next 15 years.
Well, that would be good. Those are the discussions we want to have. And as far as all that downside stuff, that's the downside stuff that the teams are supposed to be doing research on to find out.
Yeah, but the kid has never been. Any of these kids have never been in these positions.
They've never had this much money. Yeah. They've never had this much fame. And they've never been as this big a target for people who are thinking whatever bizarre / evil / They've never had this many people coming with a handout.
Right. You've got highly accomplished players on the Jazz. But when the season starts, not necessarily all eyes, but most definitely a significant portion of the eyes are going to be on him, no matter where he plays. Right here in the arena across the street, when he goes to Los Angeles, when he goes to Arizona, when he goes to Denver, when he goes to New York, blah, blah, blah. People are going to go to the arena and want to see what this kid is about.
Yeah. It's right out of the gate. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason that the Wizards are playing the Jazz in this in the time slot they are. It's like ESPN televises the Summer League, and we want the number 1 and number 2 picks to go head to head.
Sure. Summer League.
I know, but it starts right away and it never stops.
But it'll intensify in October.
Yes, and it'll keep growing from there.
I can see this year, even though the franchise hasn't accomplished anything with these group of players, I can see them playing Christmas Day. And
because of his
stature.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a name. He's a name. He hasn't scored a point in the NBA, but it doesn't matter. He's still a name. And they can anticipate the Jazz being a good team.
That's what I was about to say.
And watch. People want to watch this team. The Angels have a name. Ryan Smith is on every national program that he could possibly be on.
Peterson's got a name.
Yeah. Right. I think Jared Jackson has a name. And if you follow the league, Kenta George has got a little bit of a name.
Yeah.
Markkanen's got a name. Kessler, the Lakers want Kessler, so that's going to elevate his profile.
And they need a third of the league on Christmas Day. 5 games, 10 teams out of the 30 have to play.
My guess is it'll be if
Lakers, Knicks.
Well,
those two.
If it's I'm talking about the opponent.
Oh.
Yeah, my guess it would be the late game, maybe against the Warriors, or and they'll probably be on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a sign of growing expectation. You've got to be a story. Bless their hearts, Charlotte isn't being played on Christmas Day. Now, maybe they will now. They're a good team. But they haven't been. And it's been a while since the Jazz have been. And I think that part of the reason will be because of Darryn Peterson.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the road game. As Jazz fans consider, wait, am I going to end up season ticket holders? Am I going to have a game to Christmas Day? I'd guess not.
I wouldn't think so. You haven't earned that yet.
Right. That's the thing, is that in the NBA circles, the players, the coaches, and all that are all like, hey, I get we have to play on the road, but we don't have to play. And LeBron made a thing of this early in his career. He got sent on the road several years in a row. I don't remember how many. He's like, oh, I get it, but don't we get to be at home once in a while? And they're like, yeah, that's actually a good point. Don't put them on the road every year. So when you're new to the Christmas Day time slot, the odds of you going on the road go way up. Because to your point, like the Lakers and Warriors are playing Christmas Day all the time. They got to give them some home games. It's Steph Curry and LeBron, regardless of where they finish in the standings. People want to watch the stars.
Yeah. So I see them being on there, and he'll be a reason. So how does he handle whatever celebrity he's had? And he's had some good stuff. It's going to magnify and multiply beyond his, not comprehension, but beyond his experience that he's had. All right?
The spotlight will get brighter.
Yeah, and then the Kobe tat and the sleeve attach that you decided you needed to do, that's going to draw attention.
It already has, and it will continue to.
Yeah, and you want Kobe as a role model. Great. I don't believe you can pick a better one in terms of what Kobe Bryant gave to the game. That's one of the things about Kobe Bryant dying, and obviously it sucks all the way around, but what Kobe Bryant was going to contribute to the game as a retired player and contribute to women's sports because of his daughters playing and all that stuff, we as a society, we suffered a loss. Now, obviously, his family suffered a tremendous loss forever and ever and all that stuff. But just us, because he was of the mindset to give back.
The deal he cut with ESPN where he was doing these film breakdown segments for him, I found those really interesting. They were really well done. And they got to stuff that people don't necessarily talk about players and teams and trends and stuff. They were really good. If Peterson, under the whole, hey, I want to follow in Kobe's footsteps kind of deal, man, if he seizes on the film room that way, back to your point about not cheating the game, and just analyzing, breaking down teams and tendencies just so you have one more edge to get one more bucket or get one more stop, that'd be a big, big deal. And it was pretty clear that Kobe took that to a very high level. When you watch those pieces, they were really good. Really interesting. So hopefully he seizes on that too. All right, DJ and PK, Steve Cleveland coming up at the top of the hour. Mike Folta at 9 o'clock on the Utah Mammoth and their draft. So what do you got? You got a story here?
I got multiple stories.
Really? You want to give them the list of celebs?
It was a jam-packed weekend.
A lot of celebs in your life?
I got a Kevin Young. I got a Kenny Dillingham. I got somebody over at the Jazz administration who I want to poke. I've got a golf story, another woman's golf story. BYU women's golf, former BYU women's golfer.
All right.
All rolled into one.
How many stories can PK wedge into the next segment after a big weekend? We'll find out next. Stay with us. The KSL Sports Zone and BI Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer for the BI Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the BI Meals Hero of the Week. All right, you're going to reel these stories off in chronological order. You're going from least intriguing to most intriguing, alphabetical order. What are you thinking?
Oh, I rarely think. I just shoot from the hip, buddy.
Okay, fire away.
I'm going to go back to JT the Traffic Babe. How was your weekend, DJ?
Yeah, it was good.
And you can't say, well, I worked. You always rained on a parade. You couldn't have just said something. You didn't work from the time you woke up to the time you went to bed. But for years, she would ask, all bubbly, how was your weekend? I worked. You were such a sourpuss. And now you could fly high. You can trip to light fantastic. Your weekends are free and available. And so are mine a lot of the times, especially this time of year. So, man, I did a lot of great stuff. Went to the Sundance. They have concert series on the weekends, and I went to it for the first time thanks to Chad Lineball.
Hooking you up.
Sammy's brother.
Yeah.
And I'm there. Oh, three people who you wouldn't think would be famous, but in terms of songwriting, they're extremely famous.
Mm-hmm.
Written a lot of songs that two men and a woman that they have many people have covered to the point of having #1 hits. It was awesome being up there. First time I'd been up there was just freaking incredible. And one of the ushers comes up to me, "Hey, you gonna tell some sports stories before the concert?" I said, "Oh man, I tell you, what a crowd! What a crowd!" And I was there Saturday, and he told me Kevin Young was there Friday.
All right.
Kevin Young, relaxing. Good for KY.
Likes a little music.
Time out on the town with the sweetie, I assume.
Day night.
Yeah. And then I was in line to get a bottle of water. Guy says to me, "Hey, you know who was here last week?" I said, "I do not." And he said, Kenny Dillingham was there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
He told me, he said, "I thought he was here for Puka Nakua's camp, but apparently he had a wedding he was attending in the area and came up. So KD and KY.
It's the coach's getaway spot.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And we're going to have Steve Cleveland coming up next. I saw his son there, Casey.
Nice.
I hadn't seen him in many years. He was around the team 30 years ago. We chatted. So great time up at Sundance. Yeah. And I even overlooked the fact that it took a bit to get the car because the guy was clicking my key, expecting the lights and the horn to beep.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my wife's car. We took my car.
Hence, there will be no lights and no beeping when you push that button.
Yes.
Doesn't have the range to get you back to your religious neighborhood in Sandy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And he fessed up because, man, it did take a little bit of time. But it was no problem. I mean, it was a beautiful night. We had no traffic getting down the hill and over there to 8th North and on the I-15, and away we go. But he did acknowledge that. And then I looked at the little sticker. Of course, it was dark at that point. It did say red Nissan. Not the other one. But nevertheless, that was the only little hiccup. Great night. Great. I would advise anybody who wants to go to go. And also over the weekend, had an opportunity to go golf Wasatch. And I got hooked up with a younger couple. And the gal puts the tee into the blue tees on the first hole, and I think, oh boy, she must be good. She's really good.
Back 2 tees from where you expected her to put the tee.
Yeah, she played the combos up there at the lake course, and she was outstanding. Very boring. Now, not as a human being, but as a golfer. No, but
you're talking about middle of the fairway, on the green, 2-putt par.
Her last name, there's no way that I could begin to pronounce it. The first name.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
How many? Let me see that name one more time. Let's give people.
Yeah, first name is Anik. She's from Vegas. I told her I would talk about her.
Hackowitz? Haczkiewicz.
His father, who was deceased, actually they did a Deep Blue thing on that. You can go look it up. Her father was from Poland. So that's, and I said, I told her, I said, but she grew up in Vegas. They were entertainers in Vegas. And I said, wow, people would have thought, wow, I'm surprised. How come you don't have an accent? But she's an American young lady. And just a great golfer. Big time, man. Bomb it down the fairway, put it on the green, and two-putt. It's funny, on one hole. She had a birdie on a par 5, and then the next hole she 3-putted and stormed off. You could tell.
No 3 putts.
You could tell she was upset. And we actually had the same putt, only she was about a foot longer than mine,
Mm-hmm.
and she went racing it by, which then allowed me to take off.
Yeah, I better go easy on this.
And I had
right.
a tap in par. And she missed the comeback and just had the putter where you can get the ball and pick it up. And she didn't run off it, but you could tell she was mad. So in the next hole, she had probably about a 20-footer for birdie. And I thought to myself, oh, she's going to make it because she's still steamed.
Right, still steamed. Did she?
Yeah, oh yeah. And I said, oh yeah, I noticed you're not storming off the green this hole, so we got a little laugh. But she works for the Utah Mammoth in Premium Experiences.
No.
And I told her, I said, hey, listen, man, there's a guy over there who's over all this stuff. His name's Chris Barney. If he ever gives you any crap, you just call me.
What'd she say about that?
You know Chris Barney? Yeah, I used to work with him many years.
Yeah.
When he was a youngster. And he had a little hair.
A little, not a lot, but a little.
I said, but don't you let him give you any crap. Because you tell me, and I'll take care of it.
Nice.
And she's thinking, okay, old man. But it was super fun to play. I love playing with females who are really good, or females who just love the game. Because they are fun to play with, man. And as far as being excellent, wow, what a player. Yeah, I can see why she was a college golfer. Outstanding.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. When we come back, Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, joins us. We'll talk Mammoth hockey with Mike Folta, radio voice of the Mammoth, at 9 o'clock. Lots of trades and drafts and picks they could have used but didn't. We'll talk with Mike about that coming up at 9. Steve Cleveland's next. Stay with us.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined by Steve Cleveland, former BYU basketball coach, former Fresno State coach. Steve, good morning.
Good morning, fellas.
Steve, it's that time of year. There's a lot going on in the NBA. Draft picks are getting introduced. Trades are being made. Trades are being rumored. What is intriguing you most right now with multiple storylines zigzagging?
I think the number one thing for me is Darryn Peterson. And obviously we know he's the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. And, great player at Kansas, played for Bill Self. And I just think that he's a guy that the Jazz locally here, I think, can have an immediate impact. Obviously, he was a McDonald's All-American, Naismith Prep Player of the Year. But in this rebuild of the Jazz, in a very young backcourt, obviously with Keontae George, what they do have going, but compared to other issues that the Jazz have had, I think right now that what we see happening here with Darryn Peterson and his ability to shoot the basketball, his ability to make an impact immediately in this, in the program, and hopefully watch this Jazz rebuild unfold in front of all of us. And I think that because of that, there's a few things in my mind that are kind of happening here. Number one, yes, we need to take care of business, but probably number one is Kessler getting an extension. And I think that seems to be in place. Now, hopefully that happens. And then, you look at Will Hardy, who is basically for a number of years now just kind of waited, and they've gone through this process and trying to, break through and eventually, between not having a lot of bigs, what's going to happen in free agency, what's the depth of the market, who knows what's going to happen. But does Nurkic and Love return? Who knows? I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for Nurkic to come back and have that kind of size. So him, Filipowski, and do we have a backup center? And then the impactful Robert Williams, who spent the last 3 years at Portland, undersized, but he has an opportunity to really do some things and have an impact. So Darryn Peterson, number one, and then how we all put the pieces together is going to be it'll be interesting to watch and see how it unfolds.
I saw your son Casey Saturday night.
You did?
Yeah.
Where at?
At Sundance.
Oh, yes. You know what? We had tickets to Sundance, and something happened. But at the last minute, we couldn't go. I love going to Sundance, and I love the entertainment there and the music. It's always a cool thing. I'm glad you saw him.
Yeah, it was freaky. He was like he looks like Cleve Jr. now. I mean, he always looked like it to a degree, but as he's gotten older, he's a dead ringer now.
He is. He's a good boy. He's got great kids.
How old is he now?
Oh, don't even ask me that. I'm going to say he's in his mid-40s.
It's kind of ballparking it.
I'm sorry. I should be better than that.
I remember 25, 30 years ago, him running around with the team. I think he was a manager or something. He was around the team a lot.
It's funny. With hoops, he's so involved with AAU, and they have a variety of events that take place throughout the year, and he has a team that he coaches, and it's fun to watch him coach and go to see some of those games and kind of just sit back and enjoy it. And so that's a blessing for a dad who was a coach, and to see his son involved in a different capacity. It's been really fun for me to watch him play and coach and be a part of that whole process of watching not only his own kids but other kids that are moving on and becoming great players.
Yeah, so it was fun. We chatted. We were in line to get refreshments before the show, and we chatted for a few minutes. So it was fun to.
Good. Isn't that a great place up there?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, it was great. I'm going to go back. It's the first time I'd been there. And,
oh no, you got to do that. That's got to be a regular thing.
Yeah. I told the director there that you'll see me back there for sure. It was a great time. Absolutely gorgeous setting, obviously. So, as I watch Darryn Peterson, the thing that I see of all the players involved in the draft is when it comes to scoring, he is the most natural. It's just something that he has an extremely high ability to do from a wing player's perspective. Whatever you want a wing player to do in terms of scoring, I believe he can do it. And with that in mind, it's going to be fascinating to see how Will Hardy brings all this stuff together, because you've got some highly skilled players on that team, and not everybody can do the same thing all the time. From a coaching perspective, what type of challenge is Will Hardy going to face to be able to get it all to mesh?
Well, we've all kind of watched this thing unfold, and we're not quite sure how it's going to, happen and take place. But I'm telling you right now, to just have the pieces and then go forward and figure out what Darryn Peterson's impact's going to have in this program. Obviously, everyone is completely aware of how he'll impact this team. He played for a great college coach in Bill Self. I think, you look at the Jazz, and, Peterson obviously is a shooting guard at 6'6". He's had great accolades, but it is a rebuilding time, and everybody knows that. And it's a very youthful backcourt alongside Keontae George, and who it's done well
and Ace Bailey.
Had an impact in the program.
And Ace Bailey, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that. You took the words out of my mouth. And so those are the issues, and what's happening with the pre-draft workouts and those kind of things. You guys are probably way more involved in that than I am, but it's definitely a time that, number one, let's give Kessler an extension, get him his money, get started. That's a good starting point. I think Will Hardy's, the free agency. What's the market for depth? That's his problem and challenges. And I don't know if Nurkic and Love come back. You guys are pretty in the know about that stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't mind having Nurkic back. Love, I'm not necessarily committed to. But the other thing is Portland Trailblazers trading Robert Williams III. That helps the front court. It makes the team better, and he's got a good body, and it'll be fun to watch out and give Kyle Filipowski a kind of a backup center. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love what's happening, and I'm hoping that we can push all the right buttons and get out of this rebuild mode and start winning games and having an impact for the people living in Utah.
It's more of a detail and a footnote because obviously the story is going to be all the guys who can score it for the Jazz and how's that going to shake out and how are those guys going to play. But usually when you have a bunch of guys who can score, it's an opportunity for someone who isn't a scorer to the fan base will fall in love with that player. They may be the 7th, 8th, 10th player, and maybe it's a ball-handling guard. Maybe it's someone who's defensive-minded. We're all old enough to remember when Kurt Rambis. I mean, there are definitely 4 guys on a court who are going to score more than that guy. But people just love the horn-rimmed glasses and battling for every rebound. Do you see anybody on the Jazz roster who's going to earn that role? It's like, hey, you can't score it because you're the 5th option, so doing us all this other stuff, the dirty work is going to make you be the gutty underdog, and the coaches and the fans are going to fall in love with you.
Yeah, you caught me off guard a little bit, but let's talk. Let me think through this for a moment.
It could be Collier, maybe, but I don't know that there's any time for him to handle the ball. I don't even know if he's going to get it. How much is he going to play? Because is Peterson, Keontae George, Ace Bailey? I mean, there are a lot of guys who might have the ball in their hands, so maybe there isn't space for him. Conchar maybe was kind of sort of in that role last year. Assuming he's back, and we'll see how they, could be a trade here. Who's to say who's going to be back? Any of these guys could be in a trade. I just didn't know if there's somebody you really like, someone who played well without the ball. Coaches always love the person who can impact the game without having the ball and taking the shot.
I think probably for me, if I was picking my team, I really like Sensabaugh. I mean, he kind of probably will shift to the 3 from the power forward. We'll see how that all plays out. But what I do like about him is that he has the versatility. He has the ability to play with the ball or without the ball. And obviously you've got Walker Kessler and veterans like Nurkic and, those kinds of people. I don't know what will happen there or what the mid-level exceptions are. You guys are probably more in tune with that. But I do like the fact that there is some depth here. And so there's not an immediate, yes, Peterson is going to have an impact. Yes, he's going to be given the keys to the kingdom here and move forward. But when I look at Keontae George and Isaiah Collier and Elijah, Harkless, kind of a two-way guy, Ace Bailey, they have the pieces. And I think what's great about this is we actually have a guy that is ready. He's played in the collegiate system for great coaches, and now he has a chance to really help this program. And I think that, if Sensabaugh ends up at the 3 and Jaren Jackson obviously is a big part of this group, you got better defenders, Cody Williams, Kyle Filipowski, both guys that have gotten better defensively. So, I don't know a lot about the levels of exception and so forth in terms of what they have the ability to go and get. But I like this team. I like the depth. And I think that Darryn Peterson answers a lot of questions. And, yes, he's the number 2 pick in the NBA draft and all of that. But I just feel like he's ready to have an impact. He has had all the accolades. And they're at a point, do they need to to rebuild? And no better time now than with having Darryn Peterson be at the foundation of that.
college game, some legislation, some stuff that's out there. What do you think about the situation where we're talking about you got 5 years to compete and you get one free transfer? It seems like there's something that needs to be done, particularly when you get somebody like a May winning the title at Michigan and then going over to the Dallas Mavericks, and you hear stuff about the college game isn't sustainable. So it seems like, I don't know that solves everything, but maybe that's something that needs to be implemented.
I agree with that something has to be done. And when I look at that and look at the Jazz and how it impacts the Jazz, it is confusing for me. And I don't really have an answer to that. And I understand it because I do follow this a great deal. But I'm just going to defer here. What are your thoughts? Because I just think that with Peterson being the shooting guard and doing all the things that he's doing and the impact that he's going to have, I just don't understand where we're going with this. And maybe you can give me some insights on how can we be in this situation. And, Will Hardy, go back to Will Hardy, who's trying to work this thing out and looking to have more depth. And what do I do with, Nurkic and Love, and what happens to Filipowski, and all of those kind of questions that need to be answered. But I think maybe one of the most impactful things in my mind is Robert Williams. I think he might have more impact than all of the guys we've been talking about and listening and over the last several weeks and months. And I think he's somebody that, I know he didn't put up huge numbers at Portland, but he is a little undersized, but he's a guy that can really have an impact. And he's got the experience. He's mature. And so I'm hoping to see him blossom and help this Jazz team have more depth and have more sustainability in building this program again.
I'm intrigued by Robert Williams. He was in Boston, so the Angels know him well. There's been a lot of talk about his interest in him in free agency. And because of all the things you say, the Lakers are looking for somebody, the Blazers, the Celtics, with the Jazz go in there. I just don't know the price tag there. If they're going with Walker Kessler, I don't see how they're going to have the money or the playing time that Robert Williams would want. So he ends up getting squeezed out. If Kessler doesn't work out for whatever reason, and I'm leaning towards he does work out, then I could see where, is that someone you pivot towards? Your thought on Nurkic coming back? If there's enough money, he's a different kind of player than Kessler, so I can see why that's attractive. Kessler offensively is going to be down at the dunk spot, and Nurkic can be dragging his guy away from the hoop. We saw him play, beyond the top of the key outside the three-point line and create room for, Peterson to drive or Ace Bailey or Keontae or whoever.
Right.
So, all those Austin Ainge's thing was we don't have any centers on the roster and they have to get two. But they have to be able to afford them, and then how do those two complement each other? So Will Hardy has a lineup. Sometimes you need to have a lineup that matches what the other team is doing. Sometimes you need to have a lineup. It's like, well, we can't match what we're doing, but we're going to do something different, and we're going to try to make you match us. But you got to give a coach the different skill sets and the options, or that doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that for me, I'd like to keep Nurkic in the mix. And I don't know that that's going to happen or not, but I think that we're talking about there are other centers in this team. I don't even know if it matters. We're playing positionless basketball these days, and I would like to see Nurkic. I like his game. He can provide some size. He's a guy that looks like he should be a center, but I don't know that he's going to return. I don't really know what's going to happen there. But certainly, Robert Williams III helps the front court. But again, is that the answer? I'm not sure. But I don't think those are bad choices. And I think that in my mind, the most impactful guy, as I've already mentioned, is Robert Williams. And he spent last 2 or 3 years at Portland, I know, and he's undersized. But he's a guy that could fit with Darryn. And we know Darryn Peterson's going to be a franchise guy for these guys. He's a kind of a cornerstone with the ability to really score. Doesn't have great size or anything, but he is a shooter. And I think he's excited to play with Markkanen and Jackson. And those are guys that will be, mentors for him. And hopefully his transition will be quick and he'll have an impact immediately. Like I've always said, you can't have enough shooters, and not at the expense of having no defense, but you can't really, great shooters really make teams, and that kind of depth is really important as guys get hurt. So hopefully they'll make those decisions, and the Jazz will be better as a result of the draft and as a result of trades, and hopefully Coach Hardy will, dip into the free agency market and make Utah better and make them, having a presence in the NBA, and they haven't for a long time. We've been rebuilding and rebuilding. We need to get off that and give these young guys a chance to step up, make plays, and get confident. It's really hard to get confidence if you're not playing. And so I think we're at a point now with Peterson, who's going to immediately come in and impact the program, that we're going to see the Jazz taking steps forward, and that it is a priority to, number one, bring Kessler back, maybe Nurkic, so let's make sure we get him there. You got Filipowski, who's a backup center, Robert Williams. I think the Jazz have made some good moves, and hopefully they'll continue to make some here in the near future and make the Jazz more, and just make them more real and in a position to get better. And I think we're all kind of waiting in the state of Utah to see this thing get better, and I think the pieces are there, and it starts with Darryn Peterson.
Steve, thanks for the time. We will talk to you again. We appreciate it.
Take care, guys.
Steve Cleveland, former BYU and Fresno State basketball coach. Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice on SEG Media, is going to join us at 9 o'clock to talk about the Mammoth trades and draft pick and the new goaltender. We'll get to that at 9 o'clock. Coming up next, Darryn Peterson had one thing to say, addressing the issue that everybody wants to hear addressed. You heard the answer that you probably expected to hear. To what degree are you buying it? We will get to that next. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Everything I have heard, Walker loves Utah. Walker wants to be in Utah. Walker's happy in Utah. Walker would prefer to end up in Utah, but he just wants as much money as possible.
He was around the team an incredible amount last year.
Yep, he was.
He was with them on the road on trips that he absolutely did not need to go to for a player that shut it down for the entire year. And he was with them at the end of the year, again, where he had even less incentive to be with the team, around the players, around the new players in Jaren Jackson Jr.
The Jazz love Walker the person. They really like Walker the player. They want him to be a part of their team. But you can't pay the wrong person too much money, because then you're not building a championship team anymore. You're not building a contending team. You're just paying your dudes because you like your dudes, and that's not the job. You've got to get everybody in the right place at the right price.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms and readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Just top.
The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, so I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing, they're easy to toss in my bag on the go, plus they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA and FSA, eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with code PODCAST at Grunes.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Darryn Peterson got introduced over the weekend. He got the question, of course, about Kansas and sitting out games. He says he's been working out 3 times a day, and whatever happened in Kansas is behind me. That was the answer. That was the answer that needed to be said. But are you buying the answer?
Yes.
I don't think there was a better answer.
I am buying it.
100% or to a degree?
As much as can be purchased right now.
Okay. That's the answer I wanted to hear out of you. Because you can't really know right now. I thought the other answer, the twin answer that went with this, is that Peterson was talking about Keontae George and going to dinner with him and asking what it was like. And he said that Keontae told him, however hard you think it is, multiply it by 10.
Yeah, I think that's an exaggeration.
It is, but it gets to the point, and we always hear the rookie wall. You've never played 82 games, the dog days. So how much is he going to be able to push through that? How much is he going to play? Are they going to have to cut his minutes or his games? I mean, this story looms in the background, so they're going to have to be careful about sitting.
Well, if you can get advice from that sage old man, Keontae George, take it and run with it. That's what I said about Patty Mills. I thought that was such an overblown story.
Yeah.
You're much more receptive from your peers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're 18 years old and someone is 35.
They might as well be 65. Yeah. They might as well be 85.
But
yeah.
George is one of your own.
He just went through it. And
Yeah.
Keontae, you just say, yeah, the college was one thing. And they both have the Big 12 experience,
You're
right?
getting counsel from a peer.
The Big 12
Not
is
somebody
one thing.
you view as an old man.
This is going to be different.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that he was making. And just the grind. It is the college is, especially now with them going charters, it's not much of a grind. I mean, the conference tournament and all that with the number of games, but even though you're not traveling, well, the NBA taking part of it in a smaller level that I did, I mean, you literally sometimes get on the elevator and you're not sure which number to pick because you can't remember. And because everything is a blur. So I think that Keontae being able to tell him that, and even if you tell him that, it's like my mother, when she came over to visit us after we lived in California and we were talking about buying a house, and I said, oh, Mom, man, they're real estate. Well, until we went out on a Saturday and I showed her, this is what you get for this price that I couldn't afford. It's like, oh my gosh. Some things you just have to experience and go through, and you can have people telling you, but you have to see it, feel it, taste it, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the case. And for him right now, speaking of Darryn Peterson, to say what he said, he's really been addressing it, and he's been addressing it without an attitude of frustration. It's like, instead of, oh, come on, can we put that around? Nope. That's in the past, and I've been working out 3 times a week. He's answered that question to himself, and clearly he's answered it to the Jazz brass.
Austin made that really clear. Yeah. And Austin was really good about skirting around words that trigger people like Kansas and creatine, all that. But when Austin gives the answer as a trained professional, when he gives the answer, I know, 100%. When he gives the answer, we spoke to a lot of people who are around him in high school and AAU and all that. It's like, yeah, we know what you're asking. We know what you're talking about. We can see what you're referencing. Right. And yes, they were putting to bed their fears that if we draft this guy and he ends up being 47-game guy, that's no good.
Right.
Clearly, right? And so Austin was making the point, we're comfortable with this. We know what you're looking at. We're looking at it too. We get to talk to a bunch of people that you don't get to, and they spelled it out for us, and we're comfortable.
Right. And that's the most important thing in right now. Now, when we get to April, DPGP will be...
Oh, we're all going to watch that.
Yeah.
We're going to watch that nonstop.
And right now, I feel confident that GP games played will be sufficient enough to where, all right, that's no longer an issue. And knock on wood, he doesn't have any injury, but it's almost like you want to a broken leg or something, and because then if he has that, that's not mysterious.
I get where you're going. Right. No soft tissue injuries.
Where we can't see it.
Have it be definitive.
Yeah, obviously we don't want that.
Right.
But,
the best case is 82 games.
Yeah.
But if the number has to be 62, please let it be. For some reason, there's clear cut and nothing can be done about it.
And Stockton missed a bunch of games too, one season out of 50.
Right.
But
we knew it was a knee, and we knew what that was all about.
Right. And of course, by the time he had that, he had all sorts of credibility stored up that no one ever questioned.
No, but we see guys run off the floor sometimes, and we're like, "What's your deal?" And other times, you're like, "Yeah, I saw that elbow to the face, and there was blood everywhere. I know what your deal is."
And maybe try to persevere, even if you have a bad game. Like, show some toughness. And then I think because I think his teammates will be looking at it too. It's not just ding-dongs like you and me.
No.
It'll be to the guys. And the guys know, especially if the guys, there's going to be guys out there that aren't going to feel their best, but they understand now that, okay, the days of, you sneezed at 2 o'clock, you're out. Those days are gone.
You got to push through stuff.
And I think that's what will show to his team and to everybody. And I just get the impression, maybe it's because I want it, that's going to be the case. He understands the knock, so he's going to do everything in his power to be out there to answer that question. And then if he rolls out there and plays 75 games his rookie year, okay, and has a really good season, then everyone's going to be talking about that. It's not going to be what happened in a third of the Kansas's games. And the frustration that was evident on Bill Self's face, you could see it during the games, and he got weary of having to answer the same storyline and so forth. So I like what he said. Right now, I'm going to take him at face value. I have no reason to think he's going to lie because I think players want to play. That's what brings them happiness and joy, is playing.
Can't make a buck is sitting on the sideline.
Not watching.
Yeah. Jeff Hornacek, I'm here to play basketball, not to watch basketball.
You wonder how many of these guys who don't have jobs in the media, the former players, how much they even pay attention to it.
You hear them all the time say not a lot.
Yeah.
Or
they like to play, not watch.
Or if they do watch, they watch fourth quarters. I've heard multiple players say that.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and watch all these games. I'll turn on the fourth quarter to see who's going to win.
Yeah.
I think that the stat to your point about DP, GP, add MP, I wonder how many minutes they'll play him, knowing there's going to be a rookie wall and he hasn't had to play 82 games against these players at this level. Is he going to be playing 26, 28, 30, 34 minutes? And where's that going to fall? And are they going to try to cushion that a little bit?
What were your minutes?
How many minutes a game are they going to play? I just threw out a bunch of numbers. I think I threw 25 out first. And up to 34.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if he played over 30.
I can see why you'd say that. And I think that's part of how they get him to play more games. And I think on a roster that has depth, you get buy-in from players. You get to exploit matchups during the game. You keep everybody involved. So I can see why. And we're seeing it with other players around the league. We're seeing star players where their minutes are managed with one eye towards the playoffs. Okay, we're not going to sit you a lot of games. But, you look at Wembayama and that kind of stuff.
I mean, but his body.
And his body accentuates and demands it. But I think the Jazz roster, if they think they're deep.
Well, they are.
And want to try different combinations.
They've got players, man. That's what's cool about this, is that if they didn't have a pick in the 26th draft, or they had a second-round pick, that I would still have high expectations for them.
Well, that the trade and the fact that getting Kessler back, because he didn't play at all, and the fact Markkanen played just a little more than half the season, that's...
Well, the development of George, the development of Collier.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot to throw in the
Flipper can help you for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sensabaugh can put the ball in a basket. None of them done it had a big time pressure situation. We got to have you make a play for us to win a ball game. I understand that, but still, for those guys, they viewed those playing times that they got as pressure situations. Because it was for them. They're trying to survive in a big boy cutthroat business. So, yeah, absolutely. So even though they haven't done all this at the highest stage, I still think for them it's a pretty big stage that they were on. And so Will Hardy will have a lot of weapons at his disposal. He'll certainly have more than he's ever had. I don't think anybody questions that. And then so that means, Peterson, if you want to get out on the floor, you're going to have to compete. Even though you're the second pick, you're not the second pick in the manner that A.J. DeBonsa basically shows up and he's going to get 30 minutes. Cameron Boozer shows up and he's going to get 30 minutes because those teams need him. The Jazz this year, they want Peterson and they need him to develop, no question. But in terms of success of the season, I don't think they literally need him in the manner that the other guys who are drafted, his peers in the draft at the top end of the draft, will be counted on because they don't have as much. And that's what's cool about it. Competition will be there. You want to play, you've got to do it right from the start, starting this week in the Summer League. What better way is to have a great impression here in Salt Lake and then whatever you do down in Vegas and then go work out for the month of August and we'll reconvene here around Labor Day and away we go.
I think most of us believe, and I'm certainly on the list, I think you are too, but I think a lot of Jazz fans believe there are 6 guys on the Jazz roster who can be long-term starters in the NBA. Now, the Jazz, and I brought this point up, and it's already irritating you, and I'll bring it up more.
You got
Irritate you
Sevy?
more.
Is he one of them?
Svi? No, I don't have Svi.
Well, you should get Svi.
Kessler, Jackson, Markkanen, Keontae, DP, and Ace Bailey.
Ace.
So there's 6 guys who can be long-term starters. And you can juggle that with minutes played and guys missing games.
I think it's long-term minutes played guys.
Long-term minutes played guys in the NBA.
If they start.
It really doesn't. Now, at some point, they're not going to be able to afford all those guys, but they can lose one. They play multiple positions, so they're already starting to build a roster that they can be good for a long time.
You know why you're wrong about the money?
Why?
Is because when guys hear of them possibly being traded from here, they break down and cry.
You love that quote. That quote's not going anywhere.
I didn't make it up.
No, I know you didn't.
So guys will take way less to be here because this is utopia.
That'll be super interesting to see if they can make that happen. That'll be awesome if they can make that happen. And you can get people to take the discount. In San Diego, they used to call it the hometown discount, even for people from out of state. I never understood that. But, yeah.
I think it's a phrase that's everywhere.
Yeah. The hometown discount.
And the thing about that is that was 15, 20 years ago. When you say San Diego, you're talking about Steve Fisher.
Nice. I'm not. I could be, but I'm not. I was talking about the Padres. But it has occurred to me, although I have no specific stories, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point I heard a story or two. Man, they get a lot of transfers. Yeah, they do.
The weather.
I don't know how that works exactly, but I've got some suspicions.
And I had no problem with it then. I got no problem with it now.
Yeah.
But that stuff I think sorts itself out.
Well, and I think to your point about less than 30 minutes, that helps sort it out. And that keeps young guys who may be hitting a wall, especially the rookies hitting the wall, and it keeps people ready for the playoffs. And there's going to be anticipation and expectation, hopefully, when we get to the postseason. But you got to have your guys. We all see teams, and we saw so many playoff series this year. I can't say decided because maybe if everybody had been there, the result would have been the same. But we saw a lot of playoff series impacted, nightly, game to game, impacted based on who was available.
I think that's always going to happen going forward.
I think you're right. And so I think that's why we're going to continue to see load management. And that can come in multiple forms, whether it's giving a guy a night off, not making a guy go on a 1 or 2 game road trip and keeping him off an airplane, or whether players who used to play 32, 34, 36 minutes are now playing 26, 28, or 30 minutes.
I think that's the way you manage it.
I like that for a lot of reasons. You got to have the roster.
Best for the game.
You got to have a lot. You were just saying like Boozer's going to play 30-plus minutes because they don't have the roster for it. The Jazz do seem to have the roster for it.
Yeah.
So keep guys involved, keep the buy-in, keep guys ready to go. When RSL starts playing again, Pablo can talk to this about guys where when there were 3 games in a week, some of the assistant coaches were saying, hey, let's play this guy all 3 nights. He's like, no, let's rotate a guy in. And let's swap. One guy's coming in as sub, one guy's starting. Let's have the sub start, and the guy who normally starts sub, and keep that buy-in. Keep everybody, because you need everybody. You need everybody involved. You can't exist with 9 in baseball. You can't exist with 11 in soccer. You can't exist with just 5 in basketball. Spread the minutes around, keep them involved. But who plays the big minutes and who plays the last 5 minutes, or 2 or 6, whatever number you want to pick?
As long as it's
really
deserved.
Matters. Yes, but part of that is keeping the competition up, and the competition decides, you're right, who gets more. Some of these players we're talking about are going to be, they're going to have to be 18-minute players. And somebody's going to have to be a 28-minute player.
That's a significant portion of the game.
You've got to earn your 18 over the guy who's not getting anything or is getting less than 10.
You've got to be productive. 18, right. That's obviously
it's
a quarter
still a
and a
big
half.
Stretch.
So, you can
make stuff happen.
You have to.
For better or worse.
Right. And we're talking about those 6 guys, and those are the 6 guys that everybody would evaluate. But what is going to happen for a kid like Collier? What is he going to be able to do?
Yeah.
I don't want to cut him off at the knees.
I want
him to be able to do what he's capable of doing. Obviously, he's not going to come down, pull up, and start jacking. That's just not something. But get him in the transition game and his speed and his strength and getting to the basket or dishing it off as he's approaching the basket.
So
I still want to see that stuff. So those guys have roles, and that's what Will Hardy, man, whatever money he's got to whatever his paycheck is, he's going to earn it more than ever in this upcoming season. It's going to be so fascinating to see. The intrigue is off the charts. And for so many years, in my 30-plus years of being here, you knew what was going to happen. You knew when Jerry Sloan was going to make the substitutions and so forth. Well, now you got all this available talent, and most of it is still unknown to the level of trying to compete to win. Now, you can even put marketing in this category. Only maybe Jaren Jackson, he has played in a situation where he's competing to win. Marketing really hasn't since he's been here. Well, now him, along with all these younger dudes, everyone's going to be going for the goal. The goal is going to be determined by the scoreboard, not that they tried hard anymore. We're done with that storyline. Forget that. And so how does it all come together? That's where I'm at, the intrigue and the fascination aspect.
I think for a player like Collier, there's 3 or 4 storylines looming out there. It'll be really interesting to see what he thinks. Maybe this is where the development coach helps get in his head and help channel what he thinks, and then Collier takes it and runs with it. We can get to that next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
Brian Haney joins us now. He is the play-by-play voice of the Kansas Jayhawks. I know that Darryn desperately wanted to be that number 1 overall pick. He's got himself into a good situation here. I know he realizes it. I know this team realizes it. This feels like a win-win for both sides.
For a guy that Bill Self has said is going to be a perennial NBA All-Star, this is maybe just the extra chip on his shoulder or competitive edge he might need to fuel his fire into being one of the most prolific players of his generation. This was just one player picked in front of Darryn, but because he's such an alpha, I kind of think if I'm a Jazz fan, not only am I thrilled to get the player that Jay Billis says is the most talented prospect in the draft, but also you get a player that now has just even more fuel to his fire to push even harder and build on that legacy that we all think is inevitable for him at the next level.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. So before the break, we were talking about the Jazz and 6 guys who could start or play starters minutes, who will close games. That's all intriguing. And then you were bringing up some of the younger guys who've been watching we develop. And like, as you said, I don't want to cut Isaiah Collier off at the knees. What's his role? Every player has a development coach. So I would expect that there are conversations between them all the time. We always heard about how Alex Jensen, who was an assistant for the Jazz at the time, with Rudy Gobert, and, hey, Rudy, this is what you need to add. This is how you fit in. This is what you can do. So somebody's having that conversation with Isaiah Collier now. We'll just use him because you brought him up. Is the goal here this summer, hey, spend a lot of time with Walker Kessler working on a pick and roll. Recreate what Joe Ingles had with Rudy Gobert. That helped get Joe on the floor and keep him on the floor. He could run a pick and roll. He could go get Gobert dunks. Not a guy who had a lot of different options to his game, but he had this one area it could be devastating. If he got anywhere near the rim, he was throwing it down. They were going to average 2 points per possession. Guaranteed. So that's one way to get Collier on the floor. Now, another way is to say, hey, you're going to play the anti-Kessler minutes. When Kessler sits, whoever the backup is presumably has a different skill set and can play outside so they can have 5 out. That opens up the hoop for Collier to drive. That opens up the other team has to collapse on him and he gets somebody else easy shots. He could really seize that role. And it could be, and the Jazz did this a long time ago, and they didn't do it a lot, but Jerry Sloan did it when he had guys he thought fit. He got 3 young guys, and they played. We've been talking about how the Jazz can run big lineups out there. Well, they could also run a super small athletic lineup out there and just try to defend and break, get deflections, get steals, put pressure on the ball, and run and run and run. Collier could be really good in that role. Peterson could be really good in that role. Ace might be really good. Maybe Keontae. I mean, maybe you do have a much smaller lineup and played these young guys. You know, what do they have a knack for? There's going to have to be a little bit of trial and error to figure this out. But I see several different roles for Collier. And then here's another role. You don't excel at any of these things. You can't earn your way on the court. And all the minutes go to these other guys. And plus, maybe they bring in a veteran. And you say you don't want to get him cut off at the knees. But he's got to figure out one of these things or he will get squeezed out. Now, maybe not cut off at the knees, because when you say that, I think off to the G League or off to Europe with you. And I think he's shown enough to get another shot somewhere in the NBA. But that's not the way you got to think. You got to think, what am I going to do with this team here? And I'm going to earn my way in. And so there's 3 or 4 potential paths for him.
3 or 4? Then that'd be no problem.
But he's got to seize one of them, because also all those doors could slam on him.
But I don't think you can ask him to do what he hasn't done. He's now carved a niche for himself, and it's got to be that.
Well, I think that the most obvious one out of all those scenarios for me is that he plays the anti-Kessler minutes. And you have him out there with 4 shooters who spread the floor, and he's got a path to the hoop because people are having a real hard time staying in front of that guy. And if they have to double him early to get the ball out of his hands, now it's an open shot. It's a chance for somebody else to drive. To me, that's the most obvious way to get him on the court. But when he gets on the court, if you're not going with that super small lineup, then you're sitting Peterson, you're sitting Ace, you're sitting Keontae. What are you doing? Somebody's got to go. But there's usually time for a 4th guard. So
that's why I'm not so
big on bringing in a veteran.
Yeah. At what expense? Now they got that mid-level. What's it, $15 million or whatever it might be. But I would still try to develop, unless it's a surefire dude who can really, really help you. I'm not sure that I'm in love with any of the folks that I've looked at the list of the free agents. Now, maybe there would be some trades that we're unaware of, obviously, on that, and then will come to pass if it does. But I wouldn't. My point that I'm making is
you're not slam dunk on the veteran.
Cast aside these young guys who've been on the team for 2 or going into their 3rd years, and each of them have had some moments.
100%.
It's not like they've been a waste.
I think they've all done enough that they'll get a shot somewhere else in the NBA if the Jazz decide to move on, because they have had those moments, and people will look at it and say, well, they got squeezed out there because of a numbers game, but they can help us. A team like Memphis, there's always, the bottom quarter of the league is always rebuilding, and they're always looking for younger talent. And in a way, they don't mind bringing someone in who's, getting that second chance in their 3rd, 4th, 5th year. It's like, someone else did the development.
But I wouldn't. I'm not even close to that point for these guys. That seems to me a little bit wasteful that you spent all this time playing these guys big minutes, and now your team's got better, so I don't need you anymore.
I don't think any of those guys are getting released. The point is, will they have value in a trade? That's where I think they would give up on them. I don't think they're just going to waive these guys. I don't think any of these guys are walking.
Oh, but no, I mean, they're under contract and all that, so, just sit on the end of the bench? No. I want to see them out there. And they'll be in reduced. I mean, Isaiah Collier will probably never play 48 minutes for the Jazz ever again, and I'm fine with that.
That's fine. That was an extreme circumstance.
Right. But to just go from that to nothing, garbage time, it seems like a waste.
Yeah.
Because I still think these young fellas still have more to grow, more to give, and I want to see it. Now, it'll be in a reduced role, and you're trying to win, and so it's not about development of these young guys anymore in terms of that being the priority each night at 7 o'clock. I understand that, but I still think that they've got some talent that could be used in spot situations, and I want to see them be able to make the improvement that, I mean, they're probably not good enough to make the improvement that Keontae George made. I get that, but I still think they've got more room before we start looking at and say, okay, this is who you are, Isaiah Collier. This is who you are, whomever. Sensible.
So I think there's room for a fourth guard to play 15 minutes a night, give or take a little bit. But just to use a round number, we'll go with 15. If you're the fifth guard, you're not playing. But the four guys in front of you are going to miss on average 10 to 12 games a year.
So you have to. So that means you can't have those guys just sitting over there and all of a sudden you go
40 to 48 nights a year, roughly half the season. They are the fourth guard getting those 10 or 15 minutes. And do they all come in a row? And do you move up in the pecking order and beat some guy out because you play when your chance comes? That will be the fun of watching the regular season and watching them sort all that out.
I think a kid like Sieve, is that how you say it?
Z. Yeah, you're close enough.
That's
Go ahead.
too difficult.
Sevy, Sieve.
Go ahead.
He can handle that and be fine with it. But these young guys.
Yeah. Yeah, Svi and Conchar.
I don't know they're in that situation yet.
Svi and Conchar do seem to be sit over there for a week or 10 days, and then they check in and look pretty good in the first 5 minutes. I know what you're getting at. We've seen a little bit out of that. We haven't had to see that with Collier or Sensabaugh because they've been the young guys. They've been playing pretty much every night. But that's why they were told to seize those minutes because that wasn't coming around. I mean, as soon as we saw the Jackson trade, everybody knew.
To see Oscar Deshiwe be an all-star for somebody else will hurt me.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will.
Because it's not going to happen.
I want the Big O right here.
The Big O's an all-star. No!
All right, you be the one
An
to tell me.
all-star for the Lakers. How did that happen? The worst-case scenario.
Does the name Austin Reeves ring a bell?
There it is.
The highest-paid undrafted free agent ever? What a title.
Yeah, you better thank the Detroit Pistons for that.
I would love that title.
Yep. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The always entertaining Mike Folta, radio voice of your Utah Mammoth, joins us next to talk draft day and trades. Stay with us.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time to welcome Mike Folta back to the show. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, fellas. On my way to development camp right now down at the practice facility in Sandy. So we actually have some hockey players on the ice wearing mountain blue to look at for the first time in a while. So that's exciting. I guess summer's over.
Wait a second. We haven't got to July 4th yet. What do they do down there during this time?
Development camp, to be honest, is a lot of kumbaya, and it's like orientation week in college. Like, you go, the seniors are there leading the exercises. You kind of get acquainted with campus. You learn where everything is. Maybe you make a couple friends. That's what this is for the Utah Mammoth prospects. These are guys that have not made it to the NHL yet, and they all come and kind of learn about the facilities, the nutrition, strength programs, things like that. And they're on the ice, but it's not super competitive. Like, these guys haven't been skating a ton for the last few weeks. So it's more of a chance to get them used to the organization and introduce them to the faces that they'll be around if they do make it up to the NHL.
Yeah, I can recall. I had to do that at Seacrest Hall. My first 2 years, I went to Northern Arizona in Flagstaff, and so they had all the incoming freshmen there, and we're in the ground floor, the dorm,
And the guy's talking about all the stuff that we needed to do that week, and it was the week before. And he kept talking about GPA, and I'll never forget, one of the guys raised his hand and said, "What does GPA mean?" What? Even I knew that.
Northern Arizona, where the N stands for knowledge.
Hey, that's a Nebraska joke. Way to borrow that. Very nice.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Sorry, go Big Red.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, I've worked with multiple people in Nebraska, and you want to take a shot at him, just say, yeah, the N on the helmet stands for knowledge. Nebraska fans are all like, I've heard it before. Yeah, everyone.
Oh, I
everyone
get
hits
it.
them with
Starts
that.
with a K.
See,
okay, I
very
get
good.
it now.
That's good. Well, that'll up your GPA.
Well, you guys would appreciate this. I remember my orientation at Purdue, prestigious land-grant university, by the way. My orientation at Purdue, we snuck away and played basketball. Like me and a couple other guys,
nice.
Snuck out of there, and we were shooting hoops to Correc for like an hour. It was the coolest thing.
A rebel even when he was 18 years old.
I'm curious why the NHL doesn't do what the NBA does. Create a summer league, go play in Toronto or Montreal, someplace where they're going to love hockey year-round for sure. It's a no-brainer. Create a little product for ESPN to put on and get to see some of these guys in a little more competitive environment. I'm sure there's a reason they haven't done that. I just don't know what it is. Do you?
I think one of the reasons is that it's summertime, and if you did that, you'd probably have 18-year-olds punching each other in the face. Because you think of training camp in the NHL, and that's an opportunity to prove yourself. And the way that a lot of guys try and prove themselves in the National Hockey League is to get in fights or to be physical or to take runs at the best players on the ice. Think of a guy like Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien, Spicy Tuna as he's known, he literally fought his way into the NHL with the Washington Capitals. Like, he was not on anybody's radar. And then at rookie camp, he was beating people up. And then at main camp, he was beating people up. And they never cut him because he just kept beating people up. And they're like, wait a minute, this guy's pretty good at beating people up. So that would be a hazard in the summertime when they're trying to make sure everybody's healthy.
Got it.
I like what Bill Armstrong did in terms of the trades. Now, I have no idea how's it going to be with the youngster. I know he's got good size, but, we'll see in a few years. But I'm talking about picking up a goaltender and moving up and the Peterka trade, just evaluate all that stuff.
Well, so we traded J.J. Peterka for those of our listeners who didn't hear, but we traded J.J. Peterka. We got a couple of first-round picks, and we flipped one of those first-round picks to Detroit for a goaltender who seemingly is ready to break into the NHL. And, guys, I had a chance to watch Sebastian Cossa. That's the goalie's name. I had a chance to watch him in the American Hockey League, and he's enormous. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they throw him out there in certain situations with the Jazz, and Will Hardy wants to stretch the floor a little bit because this guy is at 6'7". Yeah. He can move, too, though. Right. He's very athletic for his size. And he spent the last 3 years in the NHL in the American Hockey League with Detroit. But, guys, he was kind of log-jammed in their system. Like, they didn't have a path forward for him to the National Hockey League. Utah says, well, Sebastian, we can find a path forward to you. Come over here. He's supposed to be the number 2 goaltender this year behind Karel Vejmelka. And by all accounts, by people you talk to, goalie coaches around professional hockey, a lot of people think he is ready to make that transition. So I'm really high on Cossa, and it turns, I think, something that was a weakness for Utah, goaltender depth in the organization. I think it turns that weakness into a strength because you've got Karel Vejmelka now with Sebastian Cossa, and then you also have a guy in Michael Robel who's looking pretty good in the American Hockey League as well. So they also traded up to get their first-round pick at 17th overall, Ethan Belchetz, 6'5", 230. You could line him up off the edge at Rice Eccles, and he'd look right at home. He is a mountain of a man. Kind of seems like Bill Armstrong has a type.
Yeah, he does now.
With these big boys. But a really exciting couple of days, guys.
So the thing about him is 6'5", 230, as an 18-year-old. So I'm wondering, I think most of us 18 at those orientation weekends, we all kept growing. I know PK did. I did. So I don't know, is he going to end up playing at like 245 or something? And when is it? Because I also read that he's going to Michigan State for a year, but then in the story, and it was the writer's opinion in parentheses off to the side, and maybe 2 or 3 years. Whoa, 3 years? Holy cow. And then AHL time, and we might not see him for 3-4 years.
Yep, and that's not incredibly uncommon in the NHL. Now, those guys come into the summertime and they always say during camp, "Oh, I want to make the team. I want to make the team as an 18-year-old." Well, it doesn't happen all that often. But Ethan is a specimen, guys. I've had a chance to meet him and interview him. He's a unit, and you mentioned it. He's headed to Michigan State, so he wasn't there this last year. Typically, the guys who play college hockey, they have a better opportunity to put on muscle with those college strength programs compared to junior hockey when they don't really have as strong of a strength and conditioning program. So I don't know if I would expect him to bulk up, guys, because one thing he shared with us was that growing up, he was kind of always the fat kid. He was the chubby kid, and I'm hyperbolizing a little bit here, but Ethan told us he always grew up big, but he still has those like small guy skills, if that makes sense. Like he's got great hands, a ton of ability in that sense. So I don't know if he's going to be playing at 240, 250. I would doubt that, to be honest. But I think his nutrition and his strength that now he gets at the collegiate level, that's going to help him be more dynamic and explosive, because he's probably got to be a little bit better of a skater before he can reach the NHL, likely in a couple years.
Listening to Armstrong talk and his media availability, acknowledging now that they've got these prospects, but it's at least for maybe 1 or 2 of them, probably 2, I would think, the time is now. And it looks like that trade opened up some possibilities. What do you forecast there?
I couldn't see that trade that sent J.J. Peterka to Boston. I couldn't see that without thinking of T.J. Ginla, because T.J. Ginla could play a similar position that J.J. Peterka was in, and the Mammoth would hope that T.J. could play it a little bit better. T.J. is a little bit more of a complete player probably than J.J. is, or at least could be more of a complete player, because he still has that scoring ability that J.J. had, but he's a little bit better in his battles, probably covers more of the ice than J.J. did defensively. So I couldn't see that without thinking of T.J. Ginla, who I think has the best chance to make the team out of these young prospects. And it absolutely does, PK, open up some space for one of those young guys, but they still have to earn it. Yeah. And we don't know what Bill's going to do in free agency, which opens up on July 1st. So we anticipate Bill adding in free agency, and you also have some incumbent players who are pending free agents as well. Alex Kerfoot, Kevin Stenlund, Ian Cole, Barrett Hayton's a restricted free agent. So some of those guys either need to be re-signed or let go. There's a lot that remains to be seen, but whichever young guys make the team, they will have had to earn that spot. And another guy that people aren't talking about either is Daniil Boot, who we saw for a couple games at the NHL level last year, and he spent most of the season in the minors. But he's a guy who I hope, for his sake and for the organization's sake, is ready to make the jump to be a full-time NHLer this year. But he's still kind of in that crop of prospects, if you will.
I find this trade really interesting. I think I've gotten a lot of points of it, and I'm going to kind of put out here what I know, and then you either add or subtract whether there's right or wrong or missing, okay? So the Peterka for Doan deal, on the surface, oops, don't outperform Peterka, but good pivot by the Mammoth to get 2 picks and to turn one of those picks into the goaltender they needed, and then we'll see what they do with the other pick. And Peterka might work in Boston where he didn't work in Utah, and the thing that I've read that makes sense, having watched the team and listened to you call the games, is that Peterka couldn't get on the top 2 lines and stay there. And when you don't do that, you're probably not getting a lot of time on the power play. And we don't do that, your numbers are going to suffer. And it's not going to match your rep, your salary, your expectations. And a guy like Peterka is too good to exist on the third and fourth line with his rep and his paycheck and all that. So they needed to move him, and they do have multiple youngsters coming up, Tijuana first, but some more behind that, and those guys need the spots on the third and fourth line. They couldn't afford to have Peterka there. Does all of that make sense to you? Am I missing any parts of it? Is there something that needs to be added or subtracted?
As always, DJ, you are all over it. That's pretty much exactly what happened. And look, JJ is a super talented player, but think of Darryn Peterson. You wouldn't deploy him as a role player,
right?
Like he's got to have the ball in his hands. And JJ has a ton of skill, really good hockey player, ton of speed as well. But playing on the third line was not the best fit for him. He was brought in, guys. He was brought in to play with Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley, and he did that early in the season. They had flashes of brilliance because they have so much skill, but it was not the right fit. It's kind of like the saying from the movie Miracle and Herb Brooks with the 1980 Olympic team. We're looking for the best players, or we're looking for the right players. We're not necessarily looking for the best players. And JJ just wasn't the right player to fit in Utah's lineup. And I commend Bill Armstrong for quickly pivoting and recouping as much value as possible. And when you look at the trade tree, you essentially are giving up Michael Kesselring and Josh Doan for 2 first-round picks or for a first-round pick in Sebastian Cossa. And when you look at it that way, I think organizationally, guys, the Mammoth valued Doan and Kesselring at about that price, at about a first and a second-round pick. Well, they got a first and a second, or they got 2 firsts for J.J. Peterka, so they actually increased their value. Now, if everything went right, then J.J. Peterka would still be a Utah Mammoth and still be a key part of this team.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't the right fit. Armstrong pivots, and now the Mammoth kind of rearrange some of that value. And, guys, you have almost $8 million more in cap space to work with, $21 million in total, so you have a lot more flexibility now after the move.
Yeah, well, no GM is going to bat 1,000. It just doesn't work that way. And, I've heard many guys say, okay, you make a move, and it's good, it's bad, whatever it might be, and assuming for the sake of argument that it's not a great move, well, don't make it worse by trying to continue with it, as you say, pivot and get off of that. And the thing that I'm taking in just this last week or so, since the weekend, is that Armstrong, and he's had examples of this, but I think this past weekend might be the best since they've been in town, is that he's not afraid to be bold and make moves. And, you're maybe not going to always be perfect, but you've got to be bold in order to get better. And at least he's willing to try that. So I have a level of confidence in his boldness that more things will work than don't.
Yeah, and I think this organization with Bill Armstrong and Chris Armstrong as the president of Hockey Ops, they want to be aggressive. And what do they tell you in football? Like, if you're playing linebacker, if you're gonna fail at full speed, fail coming downhill, right?
It's
like
a story of my life.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
At least the first part, right? but if they're gonna fail, they want to fail forward. And I think the idea is that if you keep taking these intelligent, calculated swings, you might strike out here or there, but if you keep swinging hard, you're going to leave the yard at some point.
The DJ likes to say with me, it's throwing enough stuff against the wall that something sticks.
That's right. I think it's a little bit more calculated than that, but that's the idea,
Ooh,
right?
Me or
like
Bill?
When you keep taking these chances.
Bill, 100% Bill. I stand by this throwing stuff against the wall thing. Oh, man. I do think the thing there that I left out, I'm glad you mentioned it, we need to underline this, the $8 million in cap space. I meant to mention that when I was running through everything, and I didn't. And that $8 million, you can NHL payrolls, you can get a really good player for $8 million. Now, whether that's taking on a lot of salary in a trade or signing a free agent, but we not only need to say, okay, here's the players they gave up, and now here's the players they eventually got after multiple more deals, and we're still waiting on another draft pick out there. But we also have to analyze that cap space, what they do with that.
Yeah, and I think the temptation is to just want to go out and sign the biggest free agent, but we remind people every year that's not really Bill Armstrong's MO. In free agency, his strategy has been kind of to nibble around the edges and fill roster needs, as opposed to going out and making the sexiest splash. Bill says this a lot. You don't want to be the team that wins the offseason and then looks foolish in the regular season. So I wouldn't expect – and it's not a great free agent class as well. So I'm glad that, DJ, you mentioned, the trade route where you can acquire a big player via trade, because that's more likely, in my opinion, to happen than just signing a big free agent. But also consider this, guys. You are going to have a couple years of these young hotshots on their entry-level contract, which is great. And a lot of good teams are good because they have good players on entry-level contracts. But at some point, what's the saying? These hens are going to come home to roost, something like that. Yeah. Like, you're going to have to pay these good players. And if T.J. Ginla is the player that you hope he's going to be, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And if Dmitry Simashev and Daniil Boot and Cole Beaudoin and Caleb Denoye, and if all these young guys are the good players that you hope they're going to be, you're going to have to pay them a lot of money. So you want to be very judicious about how you hand out salaries, especially right now, because those young guys are going to need big contracts.
DJ does the soccer play-by-play, and he's converted. It's 0-0, it's draw, all this lingo. I'm wondering, you as an American, have you converted and call it, instead of organization?
Well, which one's hockey? Organization?
Well, I think the Canadians, that's, like Armstrong, it's always organization. And I'm just wondering, since you're around these Canadians so much, do you say organization, or do you stick with the American pronunciation, organization?
Purdue, it's one syllable. You just say club.
I think in the summertime, I'm pretty down the middle. But you talk to me again in February, and I'm going to be phoning in. Oh, hey, boys, how's it going? Like, organization's doing great.
So they do get to you over time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
So
now in the break, I'm going to YouTube to watch the McKenzie brothers. Nice.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Mike, we appreciate it. Hit him right down the middle here for the rest of the summer, because summer isn't over no matter what you think.
All right.
Okay.
Pray and pray, baby.
There
That's how I roll.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Mike Folta, Utah Mammoth radio voice, joining us here on The Zone. When we come back, everything you missed in this show next. Stay with us.
This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCote.
Joining us now, it is Kurt Heelan, NBC Sports Pro Basketball Talk.com.
You mentioned Walker Kessler, and what do you make of that? What do you read between the lines, I guess?
Look, it sucks to be a restricted free agent in the modern NBA because your leverage is largely gone if the team that has your rights lets it be known they're going to re-sign you, which is rightfully what Utah's doing. Does it drive down his market? Yeah, that's kind of the point too. But the reality is they're not letting him go. They can match and force a sign-in, at worst, force a sign-in trade and get back other things they want. So I think this is the agent trying to, we're not happy. At the end of the day, the sides will come to a number and agree to it. And if he's really frustrated, you push for a shorter deal. You try to get back on the market sooner, and maybe Danny's good with that, and you figure something out.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3C GM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time for Slacker Radio Headlines, brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. We've talked hoops and hockey this morning. Really, we've talked a lot of Darryn Peterson. He is the story of the weekend. He's introduced at the press conference. This isn't really about winning the press conference, PK, but all you can do the weekend of the press conference is win the press conference. We'll move on to Summer League here in a few days, July 4, 6, and 7 at the Huntsman Center, and then down to Las Vegas. And a first game in Vegas for the Jazz will be against the Wizards for ESPN to put the number 1 and number 2 draft picks out on the floor in the same game.
What day's that?
I don't know if it's the 8th or 9th. It's not the 8th. It must be the 9th. I think it's on July 9. And then he could start actually doing all the things he's talking about. It's just talk right now, but that's what press conferences are for. Was there anything you did hear that you didn't want to hear? Anything you wanted to hear you didn't hear? Or it was good enough for the press conference, you won the press conference onto the hoops?
Oh, I think he handled himself well. He addressed it with not much of an attitude. He acknowledged it. He took the issues head on, and he believes that it's over. And obviously the Jazz believe that cramping stuff and sitting out and all that stuff, they believe it's over. That's why they drafted him. And they gave him a big-time reception. People, it doesn't matter who you are. You want to be loved, right? And they loved him up, man. They're there at the airport, and then they're there. They created rather than just a rookie introduction, they created an assembly, made it a ceremony, basically, brought in more folks than normal, and so you had a little pomp and circumstance there, and that's fine. Why not? Because you're not just doing that to Darryn Peterson. You're doing it to everyone out there. The world sees it, and credit Ryan Smith for McAfee and all that stuff. You need to do that. And, he wears his hat back, so he's cool. He's cutting edge, man. So that matters to everything matters.
Sell it, and then sell it some more.
Right, and you have to win.
Yep.
But it's the old Frank Layden line that, we can't specifically control on the court what happens, but we can control everything else. And so when you come to our arena, we want the nicest ushers. We want the nicest, in the old days, the ticket takers, but things have changed and all
ticket
that.
Scanners now.
Yeah. And so you can control that. So make that as classy, as professional as you could possibly be. And so far, so good. The winning has to be there. All that stuff rings hollow without winning. We understand that. But all the other stuff, Austin's out at the airport, fans are there. Have Darryn Peterson. Wow, this is really special. He signed some autographs and all that stuff. Make it a good time. It's entertainment too. Plus, it's the bottom line. And I've said this, and I'll go to my grave. You can put this on my tombstone. Sports is entertainment.
Mausoleum.
And put that on there, right?
Sports is entertainment.
Yeah, it is. So be entertaining. Make it a party.
There were a couple hundred people at the Darryn Peterson press conference.
I wasn't there. I didn't get the press release.
Right.
I wasn't there.
Who were not media.
That's great.
They were sponsors or they're in premium seating or whatever. But to your point, it's entertainment. Now they get to go talk to their friends and neighbors about it. They're probably all excited about going down there. There's definitely a buzz in the room. They brought some of the energy.
Well, you were there. Of course there was a buzz.
Media, and this is a true story. Media, you're in the back row on the right side, not the back row on the left.
Well, at least you got the email that said they were having it.
That was it. I did.
You sent it to me after the fact. That kind of limited my ability to get there, which I would have gone. But make it a party, make it a ceremony, because the words travel among players that this is going to be a great place to be. It's shrewd, and even if it wasn't done for the sake of shrewdness, why not make it an event? Have a good time.
Yeah, and people did.
Yeah.
They clearly did.
Right.
They were entertained being there. And there were jokes and there was stuff, and you and I would have looked at each other, and they were going over well, and people were yucking it up.
But I think that it is some shrewdness involved in it, too.
Yes.
But even if it weren't, even if it was just the purest intent, I would have been fine with it. But it's also extremely shrewd. And the way Darryn Peterson handled, Kansas is in the past. I work out 3 times a week. He didn't say, that's in the past. I work out 3 times a week.
Oh, tone matters. Tone matters a lot.
And he said, hey, that's in the past. I work out 3 times a week. And so do that and acknowledge it. Well, everybody knows that there's still a thing about Utah. It's Salt Lake. It's not minority friendly, blah, 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 whatever it might be. So address that. Jazz it up a little bit, no pun intended, to be able to have that. And, yeah, I'm all for it. And so far, so good. And I think that when we get to August and the NBA shuts down, basically, it'll still be so far, so good, because I don't expect him to do anything but look good in the Summer League because he's a player.
Right. And he should look good. And he will.
Yeah.
And he won't have a bunch of super skilled, super talented 7-footers at the rim. There'll be a few 7-footers who don't move well or whatever.
He'll be fine. This is a draft pick in the manner of Deron Williams and Donovan Mitchell.
Come in, play at a high level. Yeah. Darren played well his rookie year, and then his second year he was off the charts and let him go after 3 games.
Mitchell, not Darren.
D. Will got to go.
Oh, you're talking Summer League.
Summer League.
Oh, yeah.
D. Will got to go after 3 games.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
year.
the season.
Oh, no. No, D. Will, the first half of the season was pretty bumpy for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He and Sloan
I did. He's going to score. He's going to hit open shots. If they're not all going to go in, he's going to look smooth because he's done this against this form of competition his whole life. The regular season, the competition will be the toughest he's faced consistently.
In high school and
Plus,
AAU,
he'll be a marked guy.
In high school and AAU, guys play up 1 year, maybe in rare cases 2. In college, you're playing against guys who are 3 or 4 years older than you that first year. And now in the pros, you're playing against people who are 10 years older than you. Good luck. But he doesn't have to deal with those 10-year vets who are awesome in the Summer League. So he'll shine.
No, so he'll play and he'll be fine.
The adjustment will become when he faces those guys in the regular season.
But he'll also have the best talent he's ever had on the floor with him.
Yep. He'll get to play one-on-one a lot more than he's gotten to play the last few years, that's for sure. He was always the focus of defenses and all that. We did talk a little golf early this morning because we had Monday morning golf, the playoff at the Travelers Championship, Scotty Scheffler and Victor Hovland. And you had me turn the thing on, got to it a couple minutes before it started, and you're like, this is great, but it could be over in 10 minutes. And it was.
I kind of had a feeling it was going to be.
1 hole, 2 guys, a birdie, and we're done.
And 2 premier guys.
Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler. Elite.
Very much so, yes. And Scheffler, he wants to make the putt. You want to win. But I don't think you want to win like it's the Masters you want to win.
Nope. It doesn't carry that level. No. You want to win. I think he wants to win just because he hasn't done much winning.
Yeah.
And I think guys like him at the end of the year, they want to be sitting on 4, 5, 6 wins.
But 2 weeks ago, we saw Sam Burns barely miss a putt, and it literally drops him to his knees.
Oh, yeah. It's not
no one is dropping to their knees.
He would. Scheffler wants to win 4, 5, 6 times. He's got 1, but he would trade 4, 5, or 6 of those wins to go out and win the Open Championship. I mean, they're going over for the British Open here, and he didn't have a major this year, so he'd trade the rest of the year and the playoff and whatever to get that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 4 guys who have a major this year. The 3 who've won the tournaments, and me.
Nice pick, baby.
If I'm Bob Casper, I got to be hating that segment. This is Yahoo over here, knows nothing about anything. and he's just picking these guys.
He does tend to respond very enthusiastically when I text him about like the day we have him on. He's like, "Hey, draft time, baby." So I don't know.
Yeah, because and he thinks Lucy's going to hold the ball. This is going to be the time. Yeah, I get it.
It'll be different this time.
And then I win.
Yay! You know what we don't have? Yuck. We need an all-time standings. Like, who's got the most wins?
I've got 8.
You do? Do I have 2 or 3?
I don't know, but you don't have 8.
No, I don't. I have 2 or 3. I don't have 4.
I don't worry about who's in second place.
So all-time leader, Patrick.
Yeah,
Kennedy.
I don't know how many Bob has, though. Has he got like 5?
Probably 4 or 5, yeah.
And how many of those are slam dunks? And we also want to know how many of those are slam dunks because he took, with the first pick, the guy we all would have taken, but he always picks first.
Sadly, we never kept that good of records on this.
Which makes it even
It's got to be out there. We got to dig it up. Get Elias on it. Let's go. Where's the Elias Sports Bureau when you need him?
I've had Victor Hovland with the last pick. Tiger was my last pick.
And Fitzpatrick was your other one that you...
Was he...
I don't know if it was your last pick, but it was a good one.
It was
a reach that paid off. And I'm sure it wasn't your first pick.
No.
It's either second or third.
And I created this rule as the commissioner that you cannot pick the same guy twice in the season. So I have, if I should want to, McIlroy and Scheffler available. And you two don't.
No, I only have one of them available, but you won't be getting one of them because I'll be using it for my first pick. I've sat on Scheffler the whole time. I haven't picked Scheffler yet.
Oh.
And I'll take him in the first round. And I just took Rory in this last tournament. Should have taken him in the Masters. Didn't believe.
You don't have to take him in the first round if you want. I won't take him.
Okay.
Now I may Carlos Boozer you.
Yeah. I was thinking that, but I wasn't saying it like my inside voice when you said it was like, okay, but I don't really trust that.
If you want Scott, I discovered Scotty. I was the one who chose him when he won his first Masters.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, because we had Ryan Smith on in January, and he had in December, he was down in the Bahamas or Bermuda or someplace.
He's caddying for Tony.
Yeah, and he came back, and he said, because he's a huge golf guy, he was so impressed with Scotty Scheffler. He said he tripled, I think, the first hole, but it was like you would have thought he birdied it. And he went on, and he was around Scheffler. Ryan comes back, says that. And then it come 3 months later, when we're making our picks, I remember him saying that, and I took Scheffler, and he won.
Scheffler is a New Jersey guy, but he does carry himself
he's
like
a Texas guy.
He is a Texas guy, but he was born in Jersey.
He was,
but he's raised in Texas.
That's like saying Byron Scott's a Utah guy.
But he carries himself like a California beach guy. Oh, yeah. I find that interesting.
I don't think in the moment it's ho-hum. I think in the interviews, he refuses to get worked up about it. But in the moment, those guys got to be savages.
No, you're standing over that putt. You got to be dialed in.
And yesterday, when he made that putt to force the playoff.
I thought you were going to say murdered that putt.
No, made that putt. Remember
the first one when he smoked it past the hole. Yeah.
And he gave the big-time fist bump. So.
Yeah, he knew what it was for. He's only got 1 win this year, and for a lot of people, that'd be a good year. But when you've had 4 wins, 6 wins, 7 wins, like he's had.
If he had 20 wins this year, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, that's interesting. If he'd just been flying, would he have been that pumped up? I mean, he'd been pumped, but I don't know if he'd have been that pumped.
I disagree. Because I think that's what it takes. You've got to be a savage at all times. You let off the gas, and you're going to get blown by.
The argument that he... if he were sitting on 9, would he want 10? Well, he probably would. So maybe that would be that.
In the moment,
fist pumping for a different reason.
Winning is so intoxicating.
Okay, but do you think with his whole, the whole my life doesn't really change, what really matters, and family and all that?
He gets perspective after the fact.
But is that part of the reason he's at 1 win now?
No.
That in a small way, just by a small percentage, he's taking his foot off.
Check back in 2 or 3 years. It's too soon.
He's got 3 second-place finishes and 2 third-place finishes now that he finished second with this playoff today.
Which I think is awesome.
6 top 3s. Well, that's what we were talking about with Nicholson.
I think the Buffalo Bills going to 4 Super Bowls in a row was awesome.
And we always talk about Jack Nicklaus. He's won 18 majors and finished second 19 times, so that's 37. That's unreal.
Yeah, you're competing.
That's
the essence of competition. And that thing never gets brought up. for Jack. What's that? 37 times he was first or second in the majors. Oh my gosh!
Scheffler is sitting on 8 top 5 finishes this year, and in 13 events. And
I think he's a good pick for the British. Then, it's the old Phil Mickelson. If you're around enough, you're going to break through. Not that he needs to break through,
but for this year, he needs to break through. Just for this year.
Yeah. I want to see.
If he doesn't win again, he's had a great career. But he is going to win again. So the question is, to what level is he going to take this greatness?
I think he is really good, and not knowing the guy, I've seen him golf. Obviously, I've been in person, and go down to Palm Springs where they have the tournaments spread over 3 courses. You can hear the guys talk to each other, and they let amateurs play, so they have to wait.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 feet away from him, basically. You can hear him talk. I think he is really good at what do they call it? What's that word? Compartmentalize?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
That is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, so he can put this here when it's there, put this there when it's there, and have everything in order.
I read a thing about profiling golfers and what they have to have, and that all the best pros are really capable of getting completely locked in on the tee. They're super casual, coming up, to the tee box and all that. And you'll see, like Rory, I think in the last tournament, he's giving some kid a ball, right? And they're interacting with the crowd. But they get to the tee, they lock in.
Yeah.
Tee shot, again, super chill, just kept walking down the fairway. Again, you might see him wave. Your wife talked to a player at some point, and they tip the cap or something. I can't remember what they do. Point. Your wife said something. It was Ricky Fowler. Where did the grandparents live?
St. George.
No, I know, but it was something. But it was like Sun River, right? Was it Sun River?
Sun
River loves you.
They used to have the house.
Didn't she say Sun River loves you?
No.
What was that?
Oh, yeah.
Sun River loves you. And did he point or did he acknowledge it somehow?
Yeah.
He wasn't locked in.
Yeah.
He gives the acknowledgement, right? I mean, it comes out of a group of people. You have no idea who said it.
It was a par 3 in Phoenix.
Okay. So that. But then when they get up to their ball, whether it's on the green in a par 3 or it's a fairway, now they're locked in for the rest of the hole. And you can't stay locked in for 4.5 hours. So you got to constantly be able to focus, relax. Focus. It's too much energy. I found it really fascinating, the whole mental part of that.
Tony
really
gave her bones once, and Rory gave my friend Billy bones.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. DJ PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. DJ PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Join Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, tomorrow from 10 to 2 at Tim Dolly Mazda, 10785 South Altamont Drive in South Jordan. Time for your feedback. What do you have to say about today's show? Darryn Peterson's been working out 3 times a day. He says, whatever happened at Kansas is behind me. Are you convinced? Do you believe? Brian, only time will tell what happens with his injury issues. You can only move forward, but he still has a lot to prove if he's accountable and available next season. Being a KU fan, what I saw him last season, he can do some great things when he's on the court. He's a humble kid, so that's good.
Well, I think the good thing, too, it wasn't an assortment of injuries.
It was the same thing over and over, and they think they're past it.
Yeah.
Philip says Danny Ainge and the Jazz doctors checked his medical records out. If there was an issue, they would have found out.
But Austin didn't, and Ryan didn't?
I think Austin did.
Avery Bradley?
I think Austin did.
I think they analyzed that upside down, inside out, every which way possible.
I think Jazz fans are slowly adapting to the thought that Austin really is in charge. And while Danny weighs in and says stuff, Austin really is in charge. And if you want to verify that, go find Danny Ainge on the golf course, and he'll tell you, Austin's putting in more hours than me. I'll watch stuff. No, I'll weigh in on stuff, but Austin's putting in more hours.
He's an advisory role.
Yep. And his influence isn't to be underestimated or undervalued, but Austin's putting in more hours and doing the stuff that Danny
What's his
Ainge,
full-time job?
that Danny Ainge wanted to do 20 years ago, and Danny Ainge does not want to do now.
He's 66 years old.
Right. Yep.
He's born on St. Patrick's Day, if I remember.
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. So I think Austin, there's no doubt he's doing everything possible to get as much information, and they made the pick. I said this earlier. I'll repeat it. I believe through some form of intelligence, not of my own, but relayed to me that if they would have had the number one, we'll never know this, and they can't. There's no point in them.
There's no point in them coming out and saying we had him much higher on our board.
Yeah. I believe if they had the number one pick, they would have taken Darryn Peterson. They had him.
They do a list.
Well, they had him as their number one. Would they have taken him? Maybe that's another story. You'd like to think they would, but they're completely comfortable in this pick. And the kid has enormous talent. That's so apparent to the casual eye.
And we've talked about this quite a bit. That is very apparent to the casual eye. And the part that's most obvious to the casual eye is the ability to get open and to make a shot, or to get all the way to the hoop and finish in traffic. And he is capable. Buller is going to be yelling, "Circus shot!" on multiple occasions this year because Peterson can do it. He can contort his body. He can use either hand. He can use the glass. He will hit some crazy shots. But the thing you have to like is when he comes out and talks about why the Kobe tat and why he looked up to Kobe as a young player and all that. Okay, if that's the bar you're going to set for yourself, Kobe competed really hard at the defensive end. The Jazz have been, partly by design, horrific defensively. They need to take a big step forward. And having a shot blocker like Walker Kessler back is a big part of that. But then everybody on the perimeter staying in front of their guy and getting the deflections and steals where they can is a big part of that. And the way he's talking, and given the fact that he's 6'5" and the wingspan is 6'9", he should be really good at that. And it sounds like he's going to hold himself accountable for that. So to get a two-way player, not some guy who's going to hit buckets and then coast at the other end, that's a big deal.
He leads them to a title. I'm going to get a Darryn Peterson tat.
No one believes that.
I believe he'll lead him to a title.
No one believes
Again, you are so negative.
No one believes you will get the tat.
Jeez.
No one believes you will get the tat. That was a two-parter.
I got one part for you.
Yikes. Travis, he's here. The past is the past. Travis is moving on. And we're moving on too. Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, next, right here on The Zone.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3C GM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.